I standing at the entrance of my old village, and this little girl with pigtails looked at me like I was a suspicious door-to-door salesman. "Who are you?" she asked. "Kid, I literally grew up here. But sure, I guess being gone so long turned me into a stranger." I figured out she was my buddy Afu's daughter, so I bribed her with candy, because that's what adults do, apparently. I told her that her dad owed me 2 pieces of candy from when we were kids. She didn't care about the backstory. She just wanted the sweets. Then she hit me with the real question: why did it take you so long to come back? And honestly, I had no answer. I've been gone so long that my childhood friend's kid doesn't even know my face. I literally became that old poem about coming home and children asking, "Who's this random guy?" I used to hate when old people asked me, "Whose kid are you?" Now I'm that old person. Life comes at you fast. She offered me candy. I said no. She looked at me like I was broken. How can someone not like candy? Fair point, kid. I don't know either. Growing up ruined me. Then Afu came running over, my old partner in crime. This guy used to be a skinny monkey who'd chase wild boars up mountains with me. Now he's built like a refrigerator with a farmer's tan. He got mud on his forehead trying to rub his eyes because he couldn't believe it was me. He bear hugged me so hard I think he rearranged my spine, then invited me over for cured meat and drinks. Tempting, but I had to go check on my land first. See, here's the deal. I spent my entire savings, $20,000, to lease 200 acres of absolute wasteland for 30 years. Afu thought I was insane. But hey, that same money in the big city wouldn't even buy you a bathroom. At least here I got dirt. Lots and lots of dirt. Quick backstory on me. I'm not actually from this world. I died at my office desk in my previous life. Classic overworked death, very on-brand. And woke up here as an orphan with 0 parents. The whole village raised me, which was nice. I tried to make it big in the city to pay them back, but turns out even with a whole extra lifetime of experience, I was still just a corporate hamster on a wheel. So I thought, forget it. I'll go home, grow some vegetables, raise some chickens, maybe install a streetlight or 2. Simple dreams for a simple man. I finally reached my property, and wow, the wooden shack looked like nature was actively trying to eat it. Weeds taller than me, vines covering every wall like camouflage, and enough dust to build a second house. I shoved the rusty iron gate open, and it screamed like a dying cat, scaring away every bird in a mile radius. I grabbed a stick and stepped inside. Immediately, something small and black came flying at my face. It smacked into the open door and flopped on the ground like a fuzzy little pancake. It was a baby hedgehog, about the size of a chestnut. The little guy flipped over, panicked, and curled into a spiky ball. And then, I swear I'm not crazy, I heard a tiny, squeaky voice in my head. "That's not him. That's a human. I'm done for. Humans love roasted hedgehog." Excuse me, what? First of all, little buddy, I have never once in my life roasted a hedgehog. Second of all, why can I hear you thinking? Okay, so it wasn't a hallucination. I can literally read this hedgehog's mind. I poked the little spiky ball with a stick just to test it, and immediately heard, "Don't touch me. I haven't showered in days. I'm covered in mud and parasites. You'll get diarrhea if you eat me, buddy." Buddy, nobody is trying to eat you. But yeah, this is apparently my superpower now. I died at my desk in my past life, got reborn into another world, and my special ability is eavesdropping on animal thoughts. Cool. Very useful. Definitely what I would have picked from the menu. Anyway, the little drama queen was starving. She kept thinking about how hungry she was and how she really wanted those fat, white, juicy grubs her mom finds. So I figured, why not? I kicked over some rotten wood in the corner and, jackpot, fat grubs everywhere, squirming around like they were having a meeting. There were also some beetle larvae in there, the yellow-headed ones that destroy crops. Bad for farming, great for hedgehog snacks. I put a grub right in front of her face. Her tiny brain practically short-circuited. Wait, a grub? How does this human know I wanted a grub? She didn't question it for long. She just chomped down and started doing a happy little wiggle dance while eating. Then, mid-chew, she thought, "This is good, but it's not as good as those little yellow bugs Mom finds." I looked down at the beetle larvae in my hand. Yellow head, little yellow bug. I dropped 2 of them in front of her. This hedgehog looked at me like I was a wizard. Her thoughts went completely unhinged. My God, the yellow bugs. How? I think about grubs, I get grubs. I think about yellow bugs, I get yellow bugs. Is this what heaven feels like? I was genuinely having the best time I've had in years. Forget spreadsheets. Forget corporate reports. Watching a baby hedgehog lose her mind over bugs? This is peak entertainment. Then Mama showed up. A bigger hedgehog came charging in like a furry bowling ball with anger issues. Her thoughts were full-on protective mom energy. I leave for 5 minutes, and my idiot daughter is eating random food from a stranger. She puffed up all her spikes, got between me and the baby, and started hissing. Her exact thought was, "Back off, human. Don't make me use my invincible spinning wheel attack." I'm sorry, you're what? But I wasn't scared. I just turned around and went to find more beetle larvae, which apparently was the most disrespectful thing I could have done because Mama Hedgehog was furious that I didn't take her threat seriously. She was about to launch her attack when the baby grabbed her. "Mom, wait. He's nice. He gave me yellow bugs." Mama Hedgehog froze. She looked at her daughter like she'd been brainwashed. My daughter is defending a human now? And yellow bugs? Please. If this human can actually find yellow bugs, I'll take his last name. That's when I walked back with a leaf full of beetle larvae and placed them right at her feet. "Hey, little hedgehog, want to see what these are?" "Your move, Mrs. Soon-to-be Lynn." So Mama Hedgehog finally caved and tried the beetle larvae. She tried to play it cool at first. "Oomph. You think 2 little bugs can buy me? Humans are sneaky. This is obviously a trap." Meanwhile, her daughter was literally tugging on her belly going, "Mom, please just try it. The 2-legged beast doesn't bite." 2-legged beast. That's what I am now. Fantastic. Mama Hedgehog hadn't eaten in 2 days. She'd spent all of yesterday running up half a mountain, digging under tree roots, and only found 1 dried-up worm, which she gave entirely to her kid. Mother of the year, honestly. So when I pushed the larvae closer, her willpower crumbled like wet cardboard. "Forget it. I'll eat first and escape later." She bit into the fattest one, and her brain just melted. Oh my God. So juicy. So rich. It's bursting with flavor. This is better than the one I found under the old tree last month. She absolutely demolished everything on the plate. Well, on the leaf, in about 3 seconds flat. Then licked the dirt around where the bugs had been. Zero dignity remaining. Then she realized what she'd done. She puffed her spikes back up and was like, "Don't think I'm grateful. This was a fluke. A blind cat catching a dead mouse. There's no way a human understands hedgehog cuisine, ma'am. I literally just watched you inhale those bugs like a vacuum cleaner." She grabbed her daughter, and they scurried off along the wall. But they didn't go far, just into their home in the corner of my yard. And I used the word home very generously. It was a pile of broken bricks barely leaning on each other, with some rotten leaves inside, and a puddle of rainwater from yesterday's storm. The whole thing looked like it would collapse if a butterfly landed on it. "My neighbors are living rough," I muttered. "Look, I haven't even started on my 200 acres yet, and I've already got tenants. Might as well be a good landlord." Inside their garbage pile, the baby was shivering. "Mommy, I'm cold." Mama told her to hold on until the scary human left so she could gather some dry grass. But I wasn't leaving. I was building. See, in my past life, my only stress relief from corporate slavery was binge-watching animal documentaries. So I know exactly what hedgehogs want. Dark, dry, hidden entrance. That's the recipe. I grabbed a rusty machete, hacked a half-moon doorway into an old wooden drawer, then stacked red bricks into a U-shaped tunnel so they'd have to turn a corner to get inside. That way cold wind can't blow straight in, and weasels can't just stick their heads in and grab dinner. I lined the bottom with thick, dry pine needles for insulation, flipped the drawer upside down on top, and weighed it down with heavy roof tiles. 40 minutes. 1 hedgehog luxury apartment, complete. I walked over to their crumbling brick disaster and tapped the wall with a stick. "Moving day, ladies." Mama Hedgehog lost it. "He's coming." Battle stations. Invincible spinning wheel charging up. I really need to see this spinning wheel attack someday. I stepped back and just let them look. The baby smelled the fresh pine needles and bolted straight for the new house before Mama could stop her. She squeezed through the tunnel, turned the corner, and her little mind exploded. "MOM. MOM, come quick. It's so warm. It's so soft." Mama chased after her, fully expecting a trap. She went through the tunnel, and the corner design immediately made her feel safe, because that's just how hedgehog brains work. Then she stepped inside. Dry pine needles under her feet, solid wood ceiling above. spacious enough to roll around in. No wind, no mud puddles, just pure, cozy perfection. Her thoughts went completely quiet for a moment. Then, is this really for us? Dry, hidden, windproof tunnel. How does this human know what my dream house looks like? You're welcome, Mrs. Not grateful. You're very welcome. So apparently, I accidentally created a hedgehog labor force. After Mama Hedgehog settled into her new dream house, she had what I can only describe as a crisis of conscience. Her thoughts went something like, I ate his fancy bugs. I'm sleeping in his luxury condo. I, a hedgehog of honor, do not freeload. She yelled at her daughter to stop rolling around in the pine needles and get to work. Get up, you lazy child. We are not mooches. And then, they just started helping me clean the yard. I was out there hacking weeds with a rusty sickle, which, by the way, I had to sharpen on a rock like some kind of medieval farmer, when suddenly a spiky little bowling ball rolled past my feet. The baby had thrown herself onto the ground and rolled through the dead leaves. Her spikes picked up everything like Velcro. She looked like a walking bush. Then she waddled over to the trash pile on her tiny legs, shook herself off, and ran back for another load. Meanwhile, Mama was bear-hugging a tree branch with her front paws and dragging it backwards with her hind legs. When it got stuck in a hole, she actually figured out how to go around it. Her internal monologue was killing me. UGH, why is this branch so heavy? Do it for the yellow bugs. Do it for the yellow bugs. I couldn't stop grinning. In my previous life, I was a corporate drone who knew exactly how to motivate employees with empty promises and emotional manipulation. Rule number 1. If you want the horse to run, feed it first and give it a nice stable. Apparently that works on hedgehogs too. So there we were, me swinging a sickle, a mama hedgehog wrestling tree branches, and a baby hedgehog doing leaf pickup by literally rolling on the ground. The sunset was hitting the broken-down yard just right, and honestly, it was beautiful in the dumbest possible way. After 30 minutes, the baby collapsed belly up, legs spread out, gasping, Mommy, I can't. I'm dying. Mama, who was also completely wiped out with her spikes drooping flat, snapped. Shut up. 5-minute break, then back to work. The human is watching. Don't let him think we're useless. Employee of the month, both of them. Then, just as it was getting dark, I heard heavy footsteps and clanging metal at the gate. Feng Gui, Afu's voice shook dust off the door frame. He stomped in carrying a 3-tier metal lunchbox in one hand and his daughter Nyonyo in the other. Eat first. Fresh stir-fried cured pork with garlic shoots. Still hot, but then he spotted the hedgehogs. His face went from cheerful delivery guy to warrior mode in about half a second. He shoved Nyonyo behind him, grabbed a thick wooden stick from beside the door, and charged. Feng Bro move. Those things are evil. They're covered in fleas and blood-sucking parasites. Getting poked by them hurts. He raised the stick over Mama Hedgehog like he was about to whack-a-mole her. I heard her panicked battle cry. Enemy attack. Invincible spinning wheel. Engage. I grabbed the stick mid-swing with one hand. Afu. Don't. Why are you protecting this pest? He was pointing at the hedgehog like she'd committed crimes. They destroy crops. They spread disease. I sighed and pointed at the ground. Just look. Right on cue. The baby hedgehog waddled past Afu's feet carrying a full backpack of leaves on her spikes. She walked to the trash pile, shook off her load, turned around, didn't even glance at Afu, rolled through another pile of debris, and headed back for more. Afu's jaw dropped. He rubbed his eyes. Then little Nyonyo peeked out from behind her dad, eyes sparkling like she'd just seen a unicorn. Daddy, look. The little hedgehog is sweeping the floor. The yard went dead silent. Just the sound of tiny hedgehog feet pattering across dirt. Afu swallowed hard, staring at the baby hedgehog doing her leaf vacuum routine. I could practically hear his worldview shattering like dropped porcelain. Feng Bro, did these things become demons? I grabbed the lunchbox from his hands. Nah, they're my employees. Employees? I popped open the lunchbox. 3 tiers of heaven. White rice on top, glistening cured pork with garlic shoots in the middle, and bone soup at the bottom. I shoved a piece of pork in my mouth. Smoky, fatty perfection. Room and board included. They do some chores to cover rent. Seems fair to me. Afu looked at me eating. Looked at the hedgehogs working. Looked back at me. His brain was making dial-up internet noises. Feng Bro, you're telling me. You feed them snacks, and they just clean for you. Instead of answering, I picked up a nice fatty piece of cured pork with my chopsticks and tossed it onto the stone slab. Then I fished out a meaty pork bone from the soup and set it beside the pork. Hey, little hedgehog, bonus time. The baby's ears shot straight up. Her nose went into overdrive. Meat? I smell meat. She didn't even shake the leaves off her back. Her stubby legs turned into a cartoon blur as she scrambled over, looking like a bush that learned to sprint. Mama Hedgehog was trying to maintain her dignity, still dragging a branch. Then the smoky pork smell hit her nostrils. Wait, what does this human have now? Then, the most shameless thought I've ever heard. My daughter has a weak stomach. I better taste test this meat for her safety. She dropped that branch like it was on fire, sprinted past her own child, and snatched the pork right from under the baby's nose. The moment she bit down, her entire body froze. Every single spike on her back went limp with pleasure. What is this heavenly creation? It's 10,000 times better than yellow bugs. I could die in this yard today and have no regrets. Ma'am, it's just leftover cured pork. The baby, robbed of her bonus, sadly waddled to the bone and started licking the marrow soup off it. Mommy, this water is so sweet and yummy. At least she wasn't bitter about getting scammed by her own mother. They licked that bone cleaner than a dishwasher could. Ah Fu watched the whole thing with his mouth hanging open. His stick clattered to the ground. Phone bro, they actually ate it? Full belly, better productivity, I said, scooping rice into my mouth like a CEO reviewing quarterly reports. And right on schedule, Mama Hedgehog finished eating, looked at me, looked at the messy yard, and had a guilt spiral. I just ate something expensive. Leaf hauling alone won't cover this debt. Daughter, get up. We are making this yard sparkle. She stopped dragging branches one by one and went full bulldozer mode, diving under piles of dead grass and using her spiky back to plow through them like a tiny armored snowplow. The baby copied her, turning into a spinning ball of fury zooming through leaf piles like a Roomba possessed by a demon. Ah Fu's brain officially crashed. This is the most insane thing I've ever seen. Little Nyonyo, though? She was having the time of her life. Daddy, the hedgehogs are so cool. I want to help. She grabbed a stick and charged in before Ah Fu could stop her. Nyonyo, don't get close. You'll get poked. They'll be careful, I said. And they were. Both hedgehogs kept one eye on the kid while working, making sure they didn't accidentally spike her. Professionals. Ah Fu looked at me like I was some kind of wizard. Phone bro, teach me your ways. I'll go catch hedgehogs tomorrow and make them sweep my house. I shook my head. It's called personal charisma. Can't be taught. After that, Ah Fu and I tackled the house. He's built like a tractor, so I put him on furniture demolition, ripping out the rotten bed frame and hauling junk outside. I handled cobwebs and decades of dust. The place had 3 rooms, a main hall, a bedroom, and a kitchen. The roof had cracked tiles that would leak when it rained, but that was tomorrow's problem. Tonight I'd sleep on a floor mat and call it luxury. Outside, the hedgehog mother-daughter team finally collapsed on the steps, tongues hanging out. I have never worked this hard in my entire life, Mama Hedgehog thought, panting. But she looked at the clean yard with a flicker of pride. Then she peeked inside at me talking to Ah Fu, and her thoughts turned surprisingly soft. The benefactor is a good person, gives us a home, gives us delicious food. But he doesn't seem to have anything soft to sleep on tonight. Oh no. She nudged the sleeping baby awake. Wake up, daughter. We're going into the mountain. Where, mommy? I'm sleepy. We're going to find something nice for our benefactor. A surprise. And just like that, Mama Hedgehog, the same creature who 3 hours ago was threatening me with her invincible spinning wheel attack, snuck off into the darkness toward the mountains with her daughter to find me a gift. I swear, I just fed them some bugs and built them a box. I didn't sign up for hedgehog loyalty this deep. These two are going to make me emotional, and I'm not ready for that. After Ah Fu and Nyonyo left, the yard got real quiet. I noticed the hedgehogs were gone. Empty house, no thoughts in my head. I figured they went back to the mountains to do wild animal stuff. Can't exactly expect them to clock in 9 to 5. Ah Fu had left me a grass mat and a half-old cotton blanket. My bedroom was basically a clean patch of floor. But you know what? I didn't care. No car horns. No midnight work messages. No phone alarms from my boss. Just crickets, wind, and trees. For the first time in 2 lifetimes, I felt actual peace. I mumbled something about how nice life was and passed out. Then, in the middle of the night, something crawled into my blanket. Something small, warm, furry, sitting on my leg. My brain went from 0 to combat mode instantly. I didn't open my eyes. I kept my breathing steady. My right hand slowly reached under my pillow where I'd stashed the sickle, because apparently that's how I sleep now, like a paranoid farmer ninja. Then I heard a thought, but it wasn't the hedgehogs. It was a new voice. Soft, lazy, bratty, like a spoiled little princess who just woke up from a nap. So warm. Way better than that cold, stupid cave. Intruder. I ripped the blanket off, grabbed the sickle, and yanked the light switch. Sitting on my leg was a tiny creature, maybe 8 inches long. Snow-white fur, black stripes, and right there on its forehead, a faint marking shaped like the Chinese character for king. It was a white tiger cub. A white tiger cub. On my leg. In my bed. The light bothered it. It scrunched its little nose, held up one fuzzy paw to block the glare, and let out the most pathetically adorable growl. Rawr. Ugh. So bright. Why is this two-legged beast awake in the middle of the night? So annoying. Then it snuggled closer, plopped its head on my thigh, and started purring. I looked at the wall. There was a mouse hole in the corner that Afu had lazily blocked with a loose brick yesterday. The brick was pushed aside. White fur stuck to the edges. 2 sets of muddy paw prints, one small, one even smaller, led from the hole to my bed. Then I heard it. From outside the door. He found our surprise. Mama Hedgehog's voice, dripping with pride. Look, daughter. He's so happy, he raised his metal thingy in the air. He must be so moved. The baby chimed in. Mommy, why isn't he talking? Is he so happy he went stupid? Obviously. Look at this white fur ball, so soft. Our benefactor doesn't even have a pillow, so now he can hug this thing to sleep. This is the rarest treasure in the entire mountain. He's definitely giving us a whole slab of cured pork tomorrow. Pork? I want pork. My hand was shaking. The sickle almost fell on the blanket. A pillow? You two absolute maniacs brought me a pillow? This is a national first-class protected animal. This is a go directly to prison. Do not pass go. Minimum 3 years. Maximum death penalty. Animal. This isn't a surprise. This is a federal crime with fur. I forced myself to breathe. Okay. Think. The legends say there are wild South China tigers deep in the mountains. The old folks in the village always talked about it. And now, a live albino mutant tiger cub has been shoved through a mouse hole into my bedroom by 2 hedgehogs who think they're doing me a favor. My palms were sweating around the sickle handle. I couldn't move. Sure, this little guy didn't even have all his teeth yet. Cute as a button. But his MOM? Wild mother tigers are absolutely psychotic about their babies. If she followed the scent trail down the mountain and found me holding a blade over her child. I suddenly remembered what Afu said yesterday. Phone bro, those things are evil. Yeah? Yeah, they are. If I'd known my hedgehog employee's idea of gratitude was smuggling endangered wildlife into my bed, I would have let Afu hit them with that stick. The hedgehog criminals went back to their luxury condo and fell asleep like they hadn't just committed a felony. Meanwhile, I was lying in the dark with a tiger cub using my leg as a body pillow. I couldn't move. My left leg went completely numb within the first hour. I tried wiggling my toes. Nothing. Dead leg. The little guy made it worse by wrapping all 4 paws around my calf and pressing his warm belly against my knee like I was his personal heated mattress. Was it warm? Yes. Was it cozy? Absolutely. Was it terrifying? You have no idea. Every 10 minutes I'd freeze and listen for heavy footsteps outside. A low growl in the distance. Anything that sounded like an angry mama tiger coming to retrieve her stolen baby and eat the kidnapper. But there was nothing. Just wind and bugs. That left me with 2 theories. Option 1. Mama tiger is dead, and this cub was wandering alone until my hedgehog employees recruited him. In that case, I turn him into authorities, maybe get a nice certificate. Life goes on. Option 2. Mama tiger went out hunting, and my hedgehog stole her baby while she was gone. In that case, I probably won't live long enough to see the inside of a prison cell. I did not sleep. Not 1 second. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to purring, questioning every life decision that led me here. When the sky finally turned gray and the first rooster crowed, I heard Mama Hedgehog outside, bright and cheerful as a morning alarm clock. Wake up, daughter. It's dawn. Let's go wait by the door, The benefactor should be handing out cured pork any minute now. I had to physically suppress the urge to turn those two into kebabs. Then the little guy on my leg woke up. He stretched, and his tiny claws went straight through my thin pants and scratched 4 red lines into my skin. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted iron. Didn't make a sound. You don't yelp when there's a tiger on you. That's rule 1. He yawned, showing off his pink mouth and 4 baby fangs. His eyes were still that cloudy blue that kittens have. He looked at me. I looked at him. Neither of us blinked. Then he leaned forward and sniffed my chin. I smelled like soap and leftover cured pork apparently, because his thought was, this 2-legged beast smells nice. I slowly raised my hand. He headbutted, just rammed his fuzzy forehead right into my palm and started rubbing against it like a cat. So I scratched his head a little, because what else was I supposed to do? He was purring. I was terrified. We were having a moment. Then he sat on my leg, lifted a back paw, and started grooming himself like he owned the place. Okay, first things first, evidence. I needed proof that this animal walked into my house on its own, and I did not go into the mountains to poach an endangered species. I reached under my pillow, passed the sickle, and grabbed my phone. Opened the camera. Click. The cub looked at my phone like, what's that black thing? And tried to swat it with his paw. I took 5 more photos. Blue eyes, white fur, black stripes, king, character on forehead. Crystal clear. Exhibit A through F for my defense trial. Then I called the village chief. The phone rang forever. Finally, a groggy voice. Hello? Off phone. It's barely dawn. The fieldwork can wait. Chief. Are you alone? Yeah? Your Annie's out feeding chickens. What's going on? Something showed up at my house. A white, feline animal. A feline? Probably a stray cat. The mountains are full of them. Just give it some left-off. It has the character for king on its forehead. Dead silence. 5 full seconds. Then his voice cracked so hard it could have shattered glass. IT has a what? I called village chief Len. It went about as well as you'd expect. Chief, there's a white feline animal in my house. It has the character for king on its forehead. He thought I was joking. Tigers in these mountains? That was before the country was even founded. You can't find a single tiger hair out there anymore. I sent you photos. Check your phone. I waited. I could hear him fumbling for his reading glasses, shuffling around in his slippers. Then silence. Long, horrible silence. Then, sweet mother of, I heard him collapse onto his bed. This man is 60-something years old, has fought wild boars, trapped deer, never once seen a living tiger. And now there's a white one sitting on my leg in his village. Don't move. The mother tiger will find you. You're covered in cub scent. She'll RIP you apart. Yeah, I know. He slept on my leg all night. I'm basically marinated in tiger smell at this point. More silence. Then, in the saddest voice I've ever heard from a grown man, I'll phone. You should probably start thinking about what you want in your will. I'll have your auntie go buy some funeral paper, SIR. I called you for help, not for my obituary. I told him the mother tiger hadn't come down the mountain. He told me to lock everything and not upset the cub. Then he hung up, and I heard him lose his mind in the background, screaming for his wife to grab the brass gong, yelling for Afu and every strong man in the village to wake up, bring shovels, bring the hunting rifle. Within seconds, the entire village's peaceful morning was shattered by gong sounds echoing across the valley. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here with a tiger cub who just tried to hunt a pill bug on my floor. He crouched, wiggled his butt, pounced, and the bug disappeared into a crack. He scratched the tile, annoyed. Apex predator in training, ladies and gentlemen. I sighed and handed the problem off to the professionals. Now I needed to deal with the real issue, my leg. It had been a tiger pillow for 8 hours straight. When feeling started coming back, the pins and needles hit so hard I almost screamed. I was bent over massaging my calf when the cub saw my wiggling fingers and his eyes lit up like it was Christmas. He lunged. I grabbed him by the scruff of his neck midair. Behave. I put him on the floor. He circled my legs once, then flopped down on my old shoe like it was a throne. Outside, Mama Hedgehog was getting impatient. Why isn't the benefactor coming out? Is he so overwhelmed by our gift that he overslept? Mommy, I'm hungry. Just wait. Once he sees the beautiful white ball we brought him, he's definitely bringing out the biggest slab of pork. Today, daughter, we feast. I wanted to scream. I went to make breakfast because my stomach had been filing complaints since 3 a.m. I sliced up some of Afu's cured pork, pan-fried it, and put the less greasy pieces in a chipped bowl for the hedgehogs. While I was doing this, something grabbed my pant leg from behind. The cub had followed me into the kitchen. He was biting my ankle hem, all four paws digging into the floor, trying to drag me away from the stove like a tiny furry tow truck. His eyes were locked on the bowl. Rawr. I want some too. You can't eat this. It's too salty. You don't even have all your teeth yet. You'll get diarrhea. He didn't understand a single word. He just kept trying to lick my fingers. I carried him outside by the scruff and set the pork bowl down on the stone slab for the hedgehogs. Mama Hedgehog dove into that bowl face first. She swallowed the biggest piece whole without even chewing. Heaven, this is the life a hedgehog deserves. And then, her next thought made my blood run cold. Daughter, eat fast. After this, we're going back to the mountain to find another white ball. If we bring a second one, the benefactor will feed us for life. No. No. 1 illegally obtained national treasure is already a prison sentence. 2 is an international incident. These hedgehogs are going to get me on the evening news. Local man arrested for running underground tiger trafficking ring. Accomplices identified as 2 hedgehogs. I need to have a serious talk with my employees about what is and isn't an appropriate workplace gift. Find another white ball. My eye literally twitched. 1 more tiger cub, and I'd be spending the rest of my life operating a sewing machine in prison. I had to shut this down immediately. Do not bring any more of these into my house, I said, pointing at the cub dangling from my hand. Got it. Mama Hedgehog looked up from her pork, blinking her tiny eyes. He doesn't like the white ball? Impossible. He cuddled it all night. Oh, I get it. When humans say no, they mean yes. Next time I'll find a black ball. And no black balls either. No balls of any color. She wasn't getting it. So I went nuclear. I pointed at the pork bowl and made a, taking it away, gesture. You bring another one of those fluffy things home? Pork is gone. Forever. Every spike on her body shot straight up. Not from anger. From pure, primal terror. No more pork? Ever? She whipped around to her daughter with a look of absolute horror. The baby froze mid-chew. Mommy, what does no pork mean? It means we go back to eating bugs for the rest of our lives. Mama Hedgehog dropped the meat from her mouth, sat up straight, put her 2 front paws together, and bowed 3 times like she was in a temple. Forget the white balls. What's a white ball compared to pork? Benefactor, I swear on my spikes. I will never enter that mountain again. The baby copied her. Tiny bow. I'll listen to mommy. No more balls, finally. The threat of pork withdrawal accomplished what rational conversation could not. Now the cub. He was staring at me with those big blue eyes, stomach growling. Rawr. Hungry. I couldn't give him cured pork. Too salty, too tough, no teeth. So I warmed up some bone broth in an old enamel mug and put it in front of him. He sniffed it, licked twice, then went absolutely feral on it, tongue slapping the surface so fast it sounded like a tiny washing machine. I leaned against the doorframe and watched him. Setting aside the whole life in prison thing, he really was stunning. Snow white, fur glowing silver in the morning light, black stripes like ink paintings. Gorgeous animal. Terrible pet. Cannot recommend. The village chief should be here soon. I'd hand over this little convict, and then finally, I could start working on my farm. 10 acres first, some seasonal vegetables, then expand from. The cub stopped drinking. His ears snapped straight up. His tail went rigid. Every strand of white fur on his back stood on end. He started sniffing the air frantically, then scrambled to the iron gate on his stubby legs and started clawing at it. Rawr. RAWR. Not cute baby noises anymore. These were urgent, desperate calls. He was scratching the metal so hard it screeched. I chuckled. What are you yelling about? It's not like your mom showed up or anything. I stopped talking. Because I noticed the hedgehogs. Both of them had gone completely still. The pork was forgotten. Mama Hedgehog's thoughts hit my brain like a fire alarm. The big one is here. How? I saw her leave yesterday. I waited until she was gone before I took the baby. We're dead, run. She grabbed the baby by the neck scruff with her teeth and launched toward the wooden drawer at a speed that should be physically impossible for something shaped like a pincushion. She slammed into the tunnel entrance so hard the bricks shook, scrambled to the deepest corner, and curled into the tightest ball I've ever seen. My heart skipped. Whatever was out there had just turned two fearless, pork-addicted worker hedgehogs into vibrating balls of pure panic. Then I noticed it. The wind stopped. The birds went silent. The bugs stopped chirping. The entire western end of the village went dead quiet. The only sound was the cub's claws scraping metal. I slowly turned my head and looked past the wall. Beyond the yard was waist-high wild grass. Beyond that, a thin line of bushes. Beyond that, the dense forest at the foot of the mountains. Morning sunlight lit everything up perfectly. My eyesight has always been good. I saw the grass near the tree line part. Not from wind. Something was moving through it. Something big. The grass rippled silently, heading toward my shack. Slow. Deliberate. Then it stopped. About 100 meters out, right at the edge of the bushes. And a massive head rose out of the grass. So, remember yesterday when I said, what's the worst that could happen? Yeah, the worst is happening. White fur. Black stripes. A head bigger than a washing basin. The character for king on its forehead, except this time it wasn't cute, it was terrifying. Amber eyes with vertical pupils locked onto my yard from 100 meters away. One thought echoed through my skull. I really should have written that well when the village chief told me to. Quick question, is it too late to write one now? RRR, a deep, powerful voice. Think angry supermodel crossed with a freight train. Exploded in my brain. My baby. Where is my baby? The cub went absolutely berserk. He squeezed through the gap under the iron gate, popped out the other side, and started sprinting toward the bushes on his ridiculous little legs. Mommy, Mommy, I'm here. Stop, I yelled. He actually stopped. But not because of me. Because of the circus parade coming down the village road. Phone bro, don't be scared. We're here. Afu's voice could be heard from half a mile away. Behind him came the most ridiculous rescue squad in human history. Village Chief Lin was banging a brass gong. 5 or 6 guys in tank tops were carrying shovels and shoulder poles. 2 neighborhood aunties were smashing cooking pots together. Afu was leading the charge holding a rusty hunting rifle that looked like it belonged in a museum. They thought they were going to scare away a potential tiger with noise. Like a New Year's parade. If they'd arrived 10 minutes earlier, maybe, that would have worked. But now they were walking straight into a death trap. Don't come any closer, I screamed. They stopped, confused. What's Phone Bro yelling about? Afu squinted. One of the big guys laughed. What? Is he scared of a kitten? My farm dog is bigger than a tiger cub. Yeah, just stick it in a cage and wait for the county people. The chief waved everyone forward. Let's go check on him before that thing bites. I said stop. That shut everyone up. They'd never heard me yell like that. It wasn't fear. It was the voice of a man who knows exactly how dead everyone is about to be. The chief looked past the grass toward my cabin. He saw me standing at the gate, completely frozen. Then he followed my gaze to the bushes. Nothing there. Just grass swaying in the breeze. One of the guys started to crack a joke. Then the chief grabbed his arm. The old man's hand was ice cold and shaking. Look. At. The. Grass. They all looked. A patch of tall grass was moving. Not swaying in the wind. Being pushed apart from the middle. Something was walking through it. Something enormous. And it was picking up speed. Then it came out. The grass exploded sideways. A massive shape launched from the bushes into the clearing, right between the village rescue squad and my cabin. Maybe 80 meters from both. Her front paws hit the dirt and mud flew everywhere. She was bigger than anything any of us had ever imagined. Shoulder height nearly a meter. Body over 2 meters long. Blinding white fur that looked fake in the morning sun. Legs like columns of pure muscle. A tail thick as a human arm. Mama Tiger landed, turned sideways, and swept the cub behind her front legs. The baby happily burrowed into her chest, rubbing his head under her chin. Mommy, I'm right here, she sniffed him once. Head to tail. Then she looked up. Those vertical pupils turned toward the village rescue squad with their gongs, pots, and antique firearms. Clatter. Afu's rifle hit the ground. Clang. The chief's gong slipped from his fingers and spun on the dirt. Both Annie's legs gave out. They sat down on the road. Their cooking pots rolled into a ditch. Holy, TT Tiger. She didn't roar. She didn't charge. She just stood there. That was enough. The sheer presence of an apex predator, real, living, close enough to count the stripes, demolished every scrap of bravery in that group like a house of cards in a hurricane. Afu's forehead was a waterfall of sweat. The chief screamed at him to shoot. Ah Fu scooped up the ancient rifle, jammed the stock against his shoulder with trembling hands, aimed at Mama Tiger, gritted his teeth, and pulled the trigger. Click. Nothing. He pulled again. Click. Nothing. The bullets were so old and damp they might as well have been decorative. He racked the bolt, chambered a third round, squeezed the trigger one more time. Click. 3 misfires. 3 duds. The gunpowder had probably turned to paste sometime during the last presidential administration. Crap. Ah Fu swore and kept yanking the bolt. The chief's face was white as paper. Mama Tiger was maybe 30 meters from me now. Feng. Run. Every single person started screaming at once. Run toward the village. We'll cover you. They picked up the gong and started smashing it again. Fished the pots out of the ditch. Made as much noise as physically possible. But everyone knew the truth. To a mother tiger protecting her cub, all that banging and yelling was about as threatening as a mosquito at a rock concert. Run? Run? Where exactly was I supposed to run to? Adult tigers hit 60 kilometers per hour in a sprint. Between me and the village road was 200 meters of uneven grass full of holes and rocks. Unless I suddenly sprouted wings, which, spoiler alert, was not one of my transmigration perks, I was staying right here. So instead of running, I did something crazy. I actually looked at her, and I noticed something weird. She kept twisting her neck and rubbing it against the bushes. Every time she did, she'd let out this frustrated growl. Her fur was matted and clumped on the right side of her neck. Not from normal tangles, but from obsessive scratching and rubbing. Then her thoughts came through. Itchy. So itchy. This stupid tick. It's stuck in the one spot I can't reach. Baby, stop nuzzling me. Mommy is losing her mind from this itch. A tick. A fat, blood-sucking tick had buried itself in the exact blind spot where her back paws couldn't reach and her front paws couldn't angle right. She'd been suffering for days, rubbing against trees until the skin was raw, which only made it itchier. The cub tried to help, stretching up on his tippy toes to lick her neck. His little legs were way too short. He just ran circles under her belly in frustration. Then she roared. Not at me, just pure frustration. The villagers obviously didn't know that. It's over. The tiger's going crazy. Feng, ruin. Ah Fu threw the useless jam gun on the ground, grabbed a shoulder pole, and tried to charge forward like a maniac. It took the village chief and 3 guys to hold him down. His eyes were already red. And what did I do? I picked up a bamboo pole. A 2-meter bamboo pole that I'd cut yesterday. For hanging laundry. Feng bro, are you insane? A bamboo stick? What are you gonna do? Poke a tiger to death? Everyone thought I was walking toward my funeral holding a toothpick. I walked straight at her. 3 meters away, I stopped. 1 pounce, and she could have had me. Her pupils narrowed. Her claws flexed. A low growl rumbled from her chest. 2-legged beast, come any closer, and I'll bite your head off. I extended the bamboo pole. Slowly, over the cub's head. The rough, splintery tip touched the right side of her neck, exactly where she'd been rubbing. And I scratched. Every muscle in her body locked up. The growling stopped like someone hit mute on a speaker. Her eyes went wide. Huh. Huh. That's the spot. Yes, a little to the left. Oh, that's good. Her back leg twitched involuntarily. You know that thing dogs do when you find the perfect scratch spot? That. A 400-pound tiger just did that. I kept going, reading her thoughts like a GPS. Under the jaw, mid-neck, wherever she directed me. Right. There. Go up a little. I moved up half an inch. How does he know where I'm itchy? Oh, sweet heavens. Don't stop. Her fur started flattening. Her tail, which had been rigid as a steel beam, slowly drooped and even wagged a little. She was making this sound, half growl, half purr, like her brain couldn't decide between, I should eat this human, and this is the best moment of my life. Behind me, the entire village had gone catatonic. Ah Fu was being held down by 3 men, jaw hanging open, unable to form words. The chief took off his glasses, cleaned them, put them back on. Cleaned them again. Is he scratching a tiger? Someone stammered. Yes, I was. With a laundry pole. And she was loving it. But then she got greedy. This stick is too hard. No feeling. 2-legged beast. Use your hands. She opened her jaws, clamped down on the bamboo pole, and yanked. The force was unbelievable. I couldn't hold on. My entire body lurched forward and I face-planted right in front of her, less than half a meter away, close enough to smell the blood on her breath and the wild musk of her fur. Her white chest fur was practically touching my nose. "He's done for," the villagers screamed. Feng Gui. Afu burst into tears on the spot. The chief collapsed sitting on the ground, face gray as ash. Afu broke free, grabbed the shoulder pole, and charged with tears streaming. "Let go of my Feng Gui, you beast." But then he stopped, because the 400-pound killing machine in front of me did not bite my head off. She flopped onto her back, all four legs in the air, her massive white belly exposed to the sky. She grabbed my hand with one enormous paw and slammed it onto the swollen tick bump on her neck. "Rar, hurry. Scratch it. With your hand." So there I was, sitting in the dirt, hand pinned to a tiger's neck, being given direct orders by a 400-pound cat who just wanted someone to scratch her tick bite. This is my life now. Back on the village road, Afu was using his shoulder pole as a walking cane because his legs had turned to jelly. Village chief. Has Afeng been possessed by a mountain god? The chief had no answers. He'd been a village leader for 30 years, fought wild boars, survived mudslides, gotten lost in the mountains. But a guy scratching a tiger's belly? No reference material for that. Meanwhile, I was on the ground with my hand buried in tiger neck fur, feeling around for the problem. Found it. A fat, gray-brown tick, swollen to the size of a marble, drilled into her skin. No wonder she was going insane. This thing had been sucking her blood for days and pumping toxins into the wound. The whole area was inflamed and swollen. I pulled out my lighter. Didn't burn it directly. That's amateur hour. I held the flame about half a centimeter behind the tick and gave it a gentle heat wave. Ticks hate heat. It makes them release their grip on their own. Way better than yanking, because if you pull and the head stays embedded, you've got an infection that's 10 times worse. The tick let go. I flicked it off with a twig and stomped it into the dirt. Mama Tiger turned her head and stared at the spot. Rubbed against it experimentally. No sting. No itch. For the first time in days, nothing. Her brain went silent for a full second. Then, the thing that's been torturing me for days. This two-legged beast just removed it. She flipped upright and let out a roar so loud it launched every bird within a mile into the sky. My ears rang. I flinched sideways instinctively. She didn't care about me. She licked the healed spot furiously, shook her whole body, and then turned to face me. We stared at each other for 2 seconds. "Don't you dare." Too late. She shoved her massive head into my face and dragged her tongue, which was basically a wet bath towel, from my chin all the way up to my hairline. One single lick. Full coverage. Dripping with tiger spit and the distinct smell of, I ate something raw recently. Perfect. You're mine now, two-legged beast. From today on, you are my official personal scratch servant. I wiped my face with my sleeve. A single tear of resignation rolled down my cheek. This is what my life has become. Then the cavalry arrived. 3 SUVs with Forestry Bureau and Forest Police printed on the sides came screaming down the road, tires skidding in the dirt. Out jumped a sweaty bureau chief, Wong, for fully armed special police with tranquilizer guns, and lastly, a wildlife professor from the province, Professor Chun, wearing full protective gear and carrying a silver equipment case, looking extremely serious. "Where's the tiger? Has anyone been hurt?" Chief Wong ran up to the village chief. Professor Chun grabbed the chief's arm. "Get all civilians back 500 meters immediately." The chief tried to explain. "Professor, the situation is different from what you'd expect." "Different how?" "That is a wild South China tiger. A mother protecting her cub. Her bite force is 500 kilograms. Her paw strike exceeds 1 ton. She will fight to the death if she thinks her baby is threatened." He glared at the villagers with their gongs and cooking pots. "And you people were banging drums at her? You were making it worse." The tranquilizer team locked and loaded. Checked the wind. Prepared maximum dosage darts. The chief grabbed Bureau Chief Wong's hand. "Wait. You might not need the tranquilizers." "What? Did the tiger go back to the mountains?" "No. She's still right there." "Then why would we not need tranquilizers?" Professor Chin was furious. "This is life and death. A wild predator's danger level is beyond your comprehension." The chief was practically dancing with frustration. He dragged the professor to a spot with a clear view and just pointed. The tiger got scratched into submission. "She's calm now. Like, really calm." Professor Chun let out a cold laugh. Scratched into submission? A wild tiger? Absurd. Ridiculous. The territorial instinct and aggression of wild tigers is hardwired into their DNA. You could feed one an entire cow and it'd still maul you afterward. These ignorant villagers had absolutely zero understanding of. He raised his binoculars, adjusted the focus, looked past the morning mist toward the old wooden cabin 100 meters away, and saw me, sitting in the dirt, petting a white tiger, who was purring. So there I was, sitting on a stone step, wiping tiger drool off my face with a rag, while a 2-meter-long apex predator used my lap as a pillow and purred like a broken lawnmower. She was belly up, paws kneading the air like she was making invisible bread, tail sweeping the ground behind her, raising little dust clouds. The cub was next to us, chewing on my shoelace and rolling around like a kitten who'd found a new toy. This is what Professor Chen saw through his binoculars. The man froze, just completely locked up mid-stance, binoculars glued to his face, brain error screaming. He'd spent 20 years studying wild animals. He was running through every possible explanation at light speed. Genetic mutation causing docile behavior? Impossible. Wildness doesn't just switch off. Hand raised from birth. No way. This tiger's build and coat were pure wild stock. Then what was happening? Professor? Can you see the tiger? Do we have a shot? One of the tranquilizer guys whispered behind him, finger on the trigger. Silence. He lowered the binoculars with trembling hands and passed them to Bureau Chief Wang with a voice like he'd swallowed a desert. Just look for yourself. Wang looked, then ripped the binoculars away, rubbed his eyes, and looked again. What the? I asked that a tiger. He turned to the professor. Hey, Chun, are the tigers you deal with at the province level always this friendly? The professor's mouth twitched. No words came out. The village chief just stood there with his told you so face. I said you wouldn't need the tranquilizers. That kid off phone is something else. The tranquilizer team was completely lost. Shoot. The guy and the 2 tigers looked like a happy family at a petting zoo. One dart, and you might set off a massacre. Don't shoot? This was a Class 1 protected species just lying there. Wang made the call. Tranquilizers go back in the truck. Meanwhile, inside their wooden drawer fortress, the hedgehogs were absolutely not coming out. It's too dangerous near that 2-legged beast. Mommy, I'm not going out there. Smart girl. We sit here. We saw nothing. Cowards. This whole mess was their fault, and they were hiding like they were in witness protection. The Forestry Bureau team walked up to my yard. Wang stopped at the gate, because there was a full-grown white tiger between us. We made eye contact over 400 pounds of purring cat. Your Lin Feng? Yep. He glanced down at the tiger. Glanced back up. I'm from the Forestry Bureau. Hear about the tiger situation. How did you? Tick on her neck. I removed it. 2 seconds of silence. That's it. That's it. Behind him, Professor Chun had his notebook open, pen hovering, unable to write a single word. What would he even write? Subject responded to tick removal by becoming a giant house cat. His entire career just became a joke. Afu was whispering to the other villagers. How is Feng Bro's brain built differently from ours? No idea. But definitely not like mine. Tiger Mom, meanwhile, rested her head on the spot where I'd been sitting and scanned the crowd at the gate. Bunch of 2-legged beasts. What do they want? I'm in a good mood. Can't be bothered. Hey, my 2-legged beast. Where'd you go? Come back and scratch. I looked at this 500-pound animal who had just thrown away every last scrap of apex predator dignity, and sighed from the bottom of my soul. Wang cleared his throat and gave me the speech. Lin Feng, this tiger is friendly to you now, but it's still a wild predator. Today she doesn't bite. What about tomorrow? Next week? Also, legally, individuals cannot keep Class 1 protected animals. She has to go back to the mountains. He braced himself for a fight. He'd dealt with this 100 times. Mountain folk find a rare animal, decide it's a blessing from the gods, refuse to give it up. He'd already mentally rehearsed the entire Wildlife Protection Act, ready to quote chapter and verse. I stood up and dusted off my knees. Okay, he blinked. His prepared legal lecture crashed into a wall. Wait, did you say okay? Yes. Yes, I said okay. Please take this beautiful, terrifying, illegally adorable, prison sentence on 4 legs creature back to her mountain. I have 200 acres of farmland to develop. I have vegetables to plant. I did not sign up to be a tiger's personal spa attendant. Take her. Take the cub. Take it all. I am a farmer, not a zookeeper. Bureau Chief, Wang had a whole legal speech prepared. Wildlife Protection Act, chapter and verse, ready to fight me tooth and nail to surrender the tiger. Okay, I said. He choked. The man literally short-circuited. You agree? If I keep this thing, I go to prison. Please take it away. He stared at me like I'd broken the matrix. He'd done this 100 times. Villagers always think a rare animal is a gift from the mountain spirits, cling to it like a lottery ticket, refuse to let go. He had zero preparation for someone just saying, yes, please, remove this felony from my property. You have no objections. What objections could I possibly have? This is a Class 1 protected animal. A sit-in prison forever beast. You want me to keep it for Chinese New Year? He recovered, turned around, and waved to his team. Professor Chen, prep the tranquilizer. The tiger's calm. One dart, knock it out, cage it, transport it. But I looked at the tranquilizer guys fumbling with their equipment and thought, there's a faster way. I walked up to Tiger Mom and squatted down. Hey. She cracked one eye open. What? Keep scratching. Time to go home. Go where? The mountains. I pointed at the range behind us. Your house is over there. She lazily rolled over and pointed her butt at me. No. I finally found a two-legged beast who knows how to scratch. Why would I go back? That cave is cold, damp, and there's nobody to scrub my back. I rubbed my temples. Of course. Of course the tiger doesn't want to leave. Listen, those people out there are going to stick a metal tube in you. You'll pass out. Then they'll stuff you in a cage and drive you away. Her pupils narrowed. She glanced at the guys sneaking closer with their dart guns. Those skinny monkeys dare. You'll find out how much they dare when the needle hits. Her tail whipped the ground, sending up a dust cloud. Then I'll smash them all, smash them, and more come. The kind with real guns. That got her attention. Somewhere deep in her memory, she remembered a time, long ago, when something in her world fell down after a loud noise and never got up again. Silence. I leaned close to her ear and dropped my voice. Here's the deal. Take your kid back to the mountains. If your neck gets itchy again, or anything else bothers you, sneak down here at night and find me. I'll scratch you. Anytime. Her ears perked straight up. Really, really, anytime, anytime. But you can't hurt people, and you can't stroll into the village in broad daylight. Understand? Now go. She stared at me with those amber vertical pupils for a long time. I could practically see the math happening in her head. Freedom in the mountains plus on-call scratch service versus getting darted and caged by skinny monkeys with tubes. Easy choice. She snorted, stood up, and shook the dust off her massive body like a dog after a bath. Fine. Your technique is decent, so I'll give you face today. She picked up the cub by the scruff. He dangled in the air, half asleep, legs swinging. That's when Wang yelled from behind. Lin Feng. Move. Tranquilizer team is in position. Don't need them, I said without turning around. What? She agreed to leave. No tranquilizer necessary. 5 seconds of absolute silence. Professor Chen almost had a stroke. Absurd. Wild predators don't negotiate. You told it to leave, and it's leaving? If we could just talk to apex predators, my colleagues, and I wouldn't be risking our lives every year. The man had spent 20 years being chased by bears, charged by boars, and operating on snow leopards. Every single encounter was life-or-death warfare. And now some kid with a bamboo pole was telling him you could just ask. Lin Feng, move aside. Wang was panicking. I didn't move. I just looked at Tiger Mom. She yawned. For massive fangs on full display. Then she picked up the cub, turned around, and walked toward the gate. Casually, like she was leaving a spa. She walked right past the tranquilizer team. For special police officers with dart guns aimed at her. She didn't even flinch. Just glanced at them sideways. Bunch of skinny monkeys with sticks. Why are you shaking? Make way, I told the crowd. Wang instinctively stepped aside. The 4-armed officers shuffled backwards. They literally parted like the Red Sea for a white tiger carrying a baby in her mouth. She strolled through, stepped into the tall grass, and headed toward the mountains. Her white figure flickered through the weeds, moving faster and faster, until she vanished into the tree line. The wind blew. The field went quiet. She actually left, someone whispered. Professor Chun was mumbling to himself like a man whose religion just collapsed. Cross-species barrier-free communication? This defies every principle of biology. Wang exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for an hour. Whatever just happened, it worked. He patted my shoulder. We'll install infrared cameras around the village to track her movements. Stay safe. Try not to go into the mountains for a while. Got it, I said. Ah Fu tackled me with a bear hug. Feng bro, you negotiated with a tiger? Are you actually possessed by a mountain god? The village chief was nodding, completely shell-shocked. Everyone was talking at once. The tension broke like a dam. People were laughing, shaking their heads, slapping each other's backs. Finally it was over. Tiger Mom was gone. The cub was gone. I could start my farm, plant some vegetables, live a normal, boring, non-criminal life. I took a deep breath of morning air and wait. Why did the grass at the tree line just move again? Tiger Mom's white shape emerged from the bushes. She turned around. She was coming back. Oh no. Oh no. Everyone was laughing, backslapping, celebrating. The tiger was gone. Crisis over. Time to farm. Then someone noticed the grass moving again. Tiger Mom emerged from the tree line, turned around, started running back. Every laugh died instantly, like someone hit the mute button on the entire village. Ah Fu slapped his hand over his own mouth. Please don't let it be because of something, he yelled. Professor Chun went white. The tiger's back. Is something wrong with the cub? Tranquilizers now. Wang pulled his actual sidearm, not a dart gun, a real gun, and stepped in front of me. Lin Feng, get back. I didn't move, because I could hear her thoughts, and they weren't angry. She cleared 100 meters in seconds, landed on the road with a thud that I felt in my teeth. The armed officers had their guns locked on her skull. One wrong move, and they'd fire. She ignored every single one of them. Walked right past, straight into my yard, stopped in front of me, and opened her mouth. The cub dropped at my feet like a fuzzy little sack of potatoes. Ow, he squeaked, rolling twice before standing up, totally confused about what just happened. Everyone stared. The villagers, Ah Fu, the chief, Wang, Chun, for special police officers with firearms, all staring at me, the cub, and the retreating Tiger Mom. So, Wang's voice was sandpaper dry. What? What exactly is happening here? I picked up the cub by the scruff. He dangled there, wiggled once, then licked my finger. I looked Wang dead in the eyes with the most sincere expression I could manage. Bureau Chief Wang. If I told you. She said the kid was too noisy and she wants me to babysit for a few days so she can get some peace and quiet back in her cave. Would you believe me? His eye twitched so hard I thought it might detach. Believe it? A wild tiger just drop-shipped her baby at a stranger's house like an Amazon delivery because she wanted a NAP? Even fairy tales wouldn't go that far. But it happened. It literally just happened. In front of witnesses. In front of armed government officials. Her exact thoughts, by the way, were, babysitting is exhausting. This little monster screamed the entire walk home. You've got food, warmth, and shelter. You're clearly not busy. Watch him for a few days so I can sleep in peace. Then she snorted, said, feed him some meat. Don't let him starve. I'm leaving, but I'll be back soon, and disappeared into the mountains without looking back. Wang was in an impossible spot. Take the cub? Tiger Mom comes back, finds her baby missing, and demolishes the entire village. Leave the cub with me? There's no law on earth that authorizes a random farmer to raise a wild South China tiger. He was pulling his own hair out, looking back and forth between me and the cub like a man watching his career disintegrate in real time. Then Professor Chun, the same guy who'd been calling everything absurd and impossible for the last hour, noticed something. He was pacing around the yard when he spotted the hedgehog house I'd built. Who made this shelter? Me. Did you study animal behavioral science? No. Then how do you know to use a two-layer design? Insulation on the bottom, ventilation on top. This is the ideal hedgehog nest structure. Our professional rescue facility uses the same principle. He looked at the hedgehogs inside. They were scared but not panicking, curled up, but spikes only half raised. The shelter was giving them enough security to stay calm, even with a tiger in the yard. How? He asked. I chose my words carefully. I guess I can. Feel what they need. Feel? Yeah. I watched them wandering around the corner, kind of figured out what environment they wanted, and built accordingly. I wasn't about to say, I literally read their minds. That's a one-way ticket to a psychiatric ward. Chin stood up slowly. The skepticism drained from his face. What replaced it was something far more dangerous. The look of a scientist who just discovered an anomaly that breaks all existing models. He spun toward Wang with eyes blazing like a man who'd found the Holy Grail. Wang, did you hear him? He said he can feel it. Wang blinked. So, it's a gift. An extraordinarily rare natural talent. I've been trying to understand why a wild mother tiger would be docile around him. Why she'd voluntarily hand over her cub. Now it all makes sense. This young man possesses an incredibly powerful animal affinity. He can intuitively sense animal emotions and needs, and somehow create a resonance that we cannot explain. He was shaking with excitement now. In the West, they call this a druid. In our tradition, it's called the innate beast king constitution. Animals have better instincts than humans. They can identify someone who is absolutely, fundamentally safe. I stood there watching this professor lose his mind and thought, buddy, you should be writing web novels, not academic papers. Your imagination is wasted on science. Wang was blinking rapidly, trying to keep up. So you're saying? I'm saying the cub stays, Chen declared, slamming his fist into his palm. Absolute conviction. Zero doubt. Great. Wonderful. An hour ago this man wanted to tranquilize everything in sight. Now he's decided I'm a fantasy novel protagonist with a magical beast-taming bloodline. And he wants to leave me with an illegal tiger. I just wanted to grow vegetables, man. Vegetables. Wang looked at Professor Chun like the man had suggested building a rocket out of chopsticks. Let the cub stay? With a villager? How do I explain this to my bosses? Chen didn't care. He was on fire. Tiger Mom left her baby here because she trusts Lin Feng. If we take the cub, we destroy that trust. She comes back, finds the baby gone. She'll flatten this entire village. But the regulations. Regulations are made of paper. Tigers are made of muscle and teeth. Chen slapped his own thigh. Special circumstances, special measures. Register Lin Feng under the Forestry Bureau as a temporary wildlife rescue volunteer. Problem solved. Wang stared at the cub gnawing on my shoelace. Stared at me. Stared at the mountains where Mama Tiger had vanished. Take the cub. Risk an angry 400-pound mother demolishing the neighborhood. Leave the cub. Break every rule in the book. Fine. He made the call. He walked up to me with the most serious face I've ever seen on a government official. Lin Feng, due to extraordinary circumstances, this tiger cub is temporarily in your care. I blinked. You're serious? He nodded painfully. Professor Chun believes you have the ability. Chen jumped in immediately. Your sensitivity to animal emotions is incredibly rare. That's why the mother tiger chose you. Our professional rescue stations couldn't get a wild tiger to roll over if we tried for 100 years. Look, I appreciate the hype, but I came here to farm, to grow cabbages, not to run a daycare for endangered species. Wang saw the hesitation on my face and went full salesman mode. We'll cover all food costs, maximum budget, no limits. All the meat you need. I'll fast-track your temporary wildlife rescue worker certification. This yard becomes an official rescue point. Everything you're doing is classified as assisting national wildlife conservation. Fully legal, fully compliant. Well, when you put it that way, free meat. Official papers. No more worrying about prison. The sit-in-jail forever beast had just become an iron rice bowl, a government-backed job that nobody could take away. All right, I said. I'll reluctantly take care of it. But if it runs back to the mountains on its own, I'm not chasing it. Deal. Wang exhaled like a man who just defused a bomb. He left contact information, a hastily drafted document, and drove off with his entire team. I could hear him on the phone before the truck was even 100 meters out. Hello, sir. I need to report a situation. Yes, South China tigers. Wild ones. Not one, two. A mother and a cub. The cub is currently staying with a villager. And oh, it's not illegal. The mother tiger delivered it herself. Yes, sir. You heard correctly. The tiger personally dropped off the baby. 5 seconds of silence on the other end. Have you been drinking? Wang's temple vein was visible from space. After the official circus left, the village aunties shuffled off whispering among themselves. That little tiger is really staying at Ah Feng's? Sure. It's a national class 1 protected animal. Protected schmotected, I just know that thing will eat people when it grows up. Mind your business. The Forestry Bureau approved it, and Ah Feng's not scared. Ah Fu stayed behind, grinning like a proud dad. Feng bro, you're a legend. Even the bureau chief is begging you to raise a tiger. Shut up, and where's my bed? He ran home and came back pushing a wooden cart loaded with a A solid single bed his dad built, plus half a bag of rice, flour, cooking oil, pots, pans, bowls, spices, basically a starter kit for a human being. Figured you got nothing, so I grabbed stuff from home. Use the bed for now. It's sturdy. Thanks, Afu. I'll pay you back. Mention money one more time, and I'll fight you. After he left, I stood in my empty yard with my government-approved tiger cub, my traumatized hedgehog employees hiding in their luxury condo, and a pile of donated household supplies. My stomach growled so loud the cub looked at me. Right. I hadn't eaten or even had water since this nightmare started at dawn. I rolled up my sleeves and got cooking. Afu had included a beautiful slab of pork belly, perfectly layered fat and lean. I blanched it in cold water, carefully skimmed off the foam, then cut it into neat little cubes. Skin side down into the hot pan. The sizzling sound was obscene. Fat rendered out. The smell changed from raw to golden and caramelized. I tossed in sugar for color, then star anise, cinnamon bark, bay leaves, soy sauce, a pinch of salt. Finally, a kettle of boiling water. Whoosh! A mushroom cloud of steam erupted from the pot so aggressively it practically slapped the ceiling beams. The smell was so unfairly delicious it should have been illegal. I swallowed my own drool, slammed the lid on, pulled some firewood out to keep it at a gentle simmer, and listened to the beautiful blub 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 of braised pork belly doing its thing. The aroma leaked out through every crack in the door and floated across the entire yard. Day 1 recap. Returned to village, acquired hedgehog employees, accidentally received stolen tiger cub, got threatened by tiger mom, became government-certified tiger babysitter, and now I'm braising pork belly in a shack with a broken roof. Farming hasn't started yet. Not even one seed in the ground. This is fine. The braised pork belly aroma had barely escaped the pot when my entire zoo woke up. From the hedgehog condo. What is that smell? It's even better than cured pork. Daughter, move out. We're going begging. Mama Hedgehog came charging out of the wooden drawer with her kid, stumpy legs going full speed toward the kitchen. They made it to the steps and froze. The tiger cub was already camped at the door like a furry white doorstop. Tongue out, eyes locked on the stove. Yummy. Want. The hedgehogs carefully tiptoed around him, hugging the wall like they were infiltrating a military base, and snuck into the kitchen. I opened the lid. Steam mushroom clouded to the ceiling. The pork was glowing, deep red, trembling in thick, glossy sauce, so tender it wobbled when I breathed near it. I cut 2 pieces into tiny bits for the hedgehogs and put the bowl on the floor. Mama Hedgehog face-planted into it. This is heaven. This meat melts. The benefactor is a god. Then, I swear my hand twitched, she thought. Daughter, eat up. Tonight we'll go back to the mountain and find another ball-shaped animal to bring him. I slammed my chopstick on the bowl rim. You too. Eat the pork. Do not go finding me any more presents. She looked up with meat dangling from her mouth and did a cutesy little squeak. Okay, no more. Promi eyes. Since when do hedgehogs do age you while? The cub was losing his mind. Hello? You feed the chestnuts, but not me? What about me? You can't eat this. Too salty. No teeth. I made him a special meal. Warm milk formula with unseasoned minced meat stirred in. Poured it in the enamel mug. He sniffed it, decided it was acceptable, and started slurping so loud it sounded like a washing machine on spin cycle. Yummy yummy. Mommy was right. Stick with this 2-legged beast. And you'll never go hungry. I looked at my dining companions. 2 hedgehogs inhaling braised pork like they'd been starving for centuries, and a tiger cub face deep in a mug of meat porridge. Then I sat down, served myself a bowl of rice, and placed 1 perfect cube of braised pork on top. Oh, my God. The pork had that slightly caramelized skin, chewy but tender. Fat that dissolved on contact. Lean meat with just enough bite. Drenched in sauce, mixed with white rice. I almost cried. I'd been running on pure adrenaline and terror since dawn. This was my first real meal, and it was transcendent. I looked at the rice cooker. I'd only made half a bowl of rice because I live alone. Rookie mistake. Should have made 3 bowls. This pork deserved more rice. After dinner, night fell fast. Mountains do that. Sun drops, temperature drops, silence moves in. Just a few distant dog barks, and the whole world goes still. I washed up with well water, checked on the hedgehogs. Both passed out cold in their drawer, snoring, and went inside. Afu's bed was set up with thick cotton padding and a clean cloth sheet. Compared to last night's grass mat, this was a 5-star hotel. One problem remained, the cub. Tonight, you sleep on the floor? He stared at me. Those big blue eyes. The nice soft bed. Tiger can't sleep there. His eyes started glistening. Like actual tears were forming. This little con artist was about to cry. Okay. You can sleep. I panicked and scooped him up. I set up a little table next to the bed, patted it with a cushion, covered it with a small blanket. His own personal sidecar crib. You sleep here, but do not crawl into my blanket tonight. If you do, no food tomorrow. He was literally mid-thought about sneaking into my covers when the food threat hit. Fine. I tucked him in and patted his back until he fell asleep. Like a baby. Because that's what he was. And apparently that's what I do now. I'm a single father to a tiger. Finally. Silence. Peace. I lay down on a real bed for the first time in this new chapter of my life. No city noise. No work notifications. Moonlight streaming through the window. Tree shadows swaying on the wall. Wait. The shadows on the wall split apart. Something large had just moved between the trees and the moonlight. Then a roar. Distant at first, then closer. Then a heavy thud in my yard. Before I could even sit up, a familiar voice exploded in my brain. That confident, bossy, queen bee energy I'd hoped wouldn't return for at least a week. The two-legged beast's den was pretty easy to find. Tiger Mom was back. It had been 4 hours. She said, a few days. 4 hours is not a few days. I stared at the ceiling. This is my life now. A hedgehog-staffed, tiger-infested, government-certified wildlife daycare center where I was supposed to be growing vegetables. Not a single seed planted. I was sitting on the bed, fully numb. Brain offline. Soul departing body. Through the moonlight, I could see her. 2 meters of pure white tiger, standing in my yard, for hours after she'd left for the mountains. 4 hours. Didn't you go home? My eyebrow was twitching so hard it was basically doing cardio. She sauntered over to the building with those elegant cat model steps. My bedroom is on the 2nd floor, up an old outdoor wooden staircase bolted to the wall. She looked at the stairs. Put one paw on the 1st step. Creak. Didn't collapse. She tried the 2nd step. Creak. 3rd step. Creak. I stood at the window watching a full-grown white tiger climb a staircase 1 step at a time, and the only words in my head were, I want to die. She reached the hallway. She was too big for it. Her tail kept smacking the railing like a furry windshield wiper. She stopped at my bedroom door. I hadn't locked it properly. She pushed it open with her forehead. Midnight. Moonlight. Me in my pajamas. A 400-pound tiger in my doorway. Oh, you're still awake, two-legged beast. Why are you here at midnight? She walked in. My already small bedroom instantly became a closet with a predator in it. She flicked her tail like this was perfectly normal. You said I could come anytime. The cave is cold and hard and there are mosquitoes. I figured. You've got food, warmth, a nice setup. I'll just crash here for the night. I took the deepest breath of my entire life. I said come find me when you're sick or IDCHY. For medical purposes. Not to check into a hotel. She didn't even acknowledge my protest. Her eyes scanned the room and found the cub's little side table crib. The baby was sprawled out, belly up, blowing snot bubbles, dead asleep. She nuzzled him with her massive head. Sleeping pretty well. Guess you're decent at babysitting, two-legged beast. Then her gaze drifted upward. To my bed. With its thick cotton padding. And soft blanket. Her pupils dilated. She reached out one enormous paw and pressed the mattress. Soft. Pressed again. Really soft. Nice. Before I could say a single word, she launched herself onto my bed. Boom. Several 100 pounds of apex predator landed on a wooden bed frame that screamed like it was being murdered. Every joint groaned. Every plank cried. Thank God Afu's dad was a decent carpenter, because the bed somehow survived. She circled twice, flopped down, and stretched out with the most satisfied groan I've ever heard from any living creature. Oh, this is 100 times better than the rocks in my cave. I was now occupying approximately 12 inches of bed space. Half my body was hanging off the edge. Her tail was draped across my thigh like a furry anchor. I remembered what Bureau Chief Wong said before he left. Contact me if anything comes up. I pulled out my phone, took a photo of the tiger sprawled across my bed in the moonlight, and sent it to Wong. Chief Wong. Situation update. Then I looked at her. You stole my bed. Where am I supposed to sleep? She cracked one eye open, scooted over about 12 inches, giving me a gap roughly the width of a cutting board, and patted the empty space with her paw. Together, obviously, excuse me? You are not a cute little house cat. You weigh as much as a motorcycle. Meanwhile, across the county, Wang had just finished his bath. He'd spent 3 hours writing today's report. Phrases like, wild tiger voluntarily entrusts cub to villager, and citizen demonstrates unprecedented animal affinity. He said it read like cheap fiction even to him. But it was over. Everything was handled. Peace restored. He picked up his thermos of goji berry tea, and ding. Chief Wang. Situation update. His heart nearly stopped. He opened the photo. A massive white tiger. On a bed. Tail draped over someone's leg. Eyes half closed in pure bliss. He spit goji berry water all over his phone screen. Cough, cough, cough. He frantically video called me. I picked up. Lin phone. What's happening? Why is the tiger back? I sighed and flipped the camera around. There she was, filling the entire frame with her enormous head. She heard Wang's voice through the speaker and twitched her ear in annoyance, like he was a mosquito. As you can see, I said, voice completely dead inside. She's here for a sleepover. She didn't hurt you, not yet. But she has a request that's a bit unreasonable. What request? I pointed the camera at her paw, still patting the 30 centimeters of bed she'd generously allocated for me. Then, in the flattest, most defeated voice I've ever used, she wants me to get in bed and sleep with her. Dead silence. She wants what? Yeah, Wang. Welcome to my life. I'm a farmer who hasn't planted a single seed, a government-certified tiger babysitter, a hedgehog landlord, and now apparently a 400-pound cat's body pillow. And it's only day 2. A wild tiger. On my bed, patting the mattress, inviting me to cuddle. Wang was on the video call losing his mind. Don't anger it. Back away slowly. Lock it in the room and sleep somewhere else. I'd love to, but Tiger Mom had had it with my phone conversation. Her thought was basically, why is this idiot mumbling at a glowing black box instead of sleeping? She raised one paw, bigger than my entire face, and casually swatted the phone out of my hand. It did a full 360 through the air and landed face up in the corner, camera pointed at the ceiling. The call was still connected. All Wang could hear was, hey, don't pull me. Thud. That was me hitting the mattress. You're on my leg. Move over. Then nothing but earth-shaking tiger purring. Like someone left a chainsaw running inside a pillow factory. Wang stood frozen in his living room, phone in hand, trying to process what he'd just listened to. His wife poked her head out of the bedroom. Who's calling this late? He stared into the void. Nobody. He went to the balcony, lit a cigarette, took one drag, put it out, lit another one. He was trying to figure out how to report this. Sir, the wild South China tiger came back at night, climbed into the villager's bed, and is currently spooning him. He'd get sent to a psychiatric hospital. But if he didn't report it, and something happened tomorrow, career over. He smoked 3 cigarettes in 10 minutes. Then he forwarded Tiger Mom's bed photo to his boss with one line. Sir, there's a situation. Please see the attached image. I imagine that man didn't sleep either. As for me, I was trapped. She had me pinned against the wall, her massive warm body taking up 80% of the bed, purring so loud the bed frame vibrated. My arm went numb in the first 20 minutes. My leg was being used as a tail rest. The room smelled like forest and large predator. But I'll admit one thing, she was really warm, like sleeping next to a giant furry space heater. The mountain nights are cold, and she was radiating heat like a furnace. Not that I'd ever tell her that. Sometime around 4 a.m., I was half-conscious when I felt something heavy step over me. Then that bossy voice echoed through my skull one last time. Keep the bed. I'll be back tonight. A soft thud outside. Then silence. I woke up at dawn. She was gone. Nothing left but a tiger-shaped crater in the mattress, a few white hairs on the sheets, and the faint smell of, I am a wild animal who slept in your bed. The cub was still knocked out on his side table, sprawled in a starfish position, drooling, snoring like a tiny buzzsaw. She's really treating this place like a free hotel, I muttered, rubbing my face. The cub woke up, looked around for his mom, looked at me, and immediately started crying. Hungry. Want milk. Milk. He dove into my shirt and started chewing my collar like it was a nipple. This is a Class 1 protected animal, ladies and gentlemen. The pride of the nation. Currently trying to breastfeed from a cotton shirt. I grabbed him by the scruff and headed downstairs in my slippers. Then I heard it. Screeching tires outside my gate. Boots hitting dirt. Military-style commands. Move in. Shields up. Tranquilizer safety's off. Wong's voice. Except today, he sounded like a general leading a suicide mission. The man hadn't slept all night. The second the sun came up, he'd mobilized an entire tactical response team and raced to my house. Lin Feng, he was hiding behind a riot shield, shouting through a megaphone. Are you inside? Are you safe? I was standing on my second-floor balcony, holding a screaming tiger cub by the neck scruff, wearing slippers, with bedhead. I looked down at the full military formation in my yard, shields, dart guns, body armor, and honestly didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chief Wong. It's 6 in the morning. Was all this really necessary? His megaphone hand trembled. Where's the tiger? Gone. Left before dawn. Went back to the mountains. Wind blew. Leaves tumbled across the yard. Wong stood there with his megaphone, riot shield, an entire armed response team, staring up at me. Gone. Gone. Somewhere behind the shield wall, I'm pretty sure I heard a special police officer whisper. So we got up at 4 a.m. for nothing? Welcome to the Lin Feng Wildlife Experience. Open 24 hours. Whether you like it or not. Wong stood in my yard looking at his fully armed tactical response team, then back up at me on the balcony, holding a screaming tiger cub in my slippers. So it just slept here and left? Yep. He wiped sweat off his forehead and handed the tranquilizer gun to someone. I swear I saw a flicker of disappointment on his face, probably because the emergency report he'd been writing all night was now useless. Stand down, he waved. The tension evaporated. Special police packed up their riot shields like it was just another Tuesday. I told him the full story. Tiger Mom showed up, stole my bed, used me as a body pillow, left at 4 a.m. like a one-night stand, and whispered, "Save the bed. I'll be back tonight," on her way out. One looked like he needed heart medication. So, she's treating you as a human-shaped pillow. Professor Chun had his notebook out, scribbling furiously, and was that envy in his eyes? If any of you want to volunteer as the replacement pillow, I said, completely deadpan. The bed is yours. Nobody volunteered. Shocking. Wong brought veterinarians this time. 2 professionals with thick protective gloves, ready to give the cub a full checkup and vaccinations. The cub saw strangers approaching and went full feral, baring his baby teeth, thrashing, trying to bite their hands. Bad people. Don't touch me. I put my hand on his head, stroked down his spine to his tail. Calm down. They're here to help. Be good, and I'll make you milk after. He blinked at me. Help? Will it hurt? Nope. And just like that, the tiny wild predator who was clawing at professional veterinarians 2 seconds ago went completely limp in my arms. He let them check his eyes, open his mouth, and stick a needle in his leg. One tiny whimper. That's it. The 2 vets stared at each other like they'd witnessed a miracle. They said even zoo-raised tigers need to be strapped down for shots. This wild cub just cooperated. Shin was scribbling so fast his pen was smoking. Talent. This is pure talent. Then Wong pulled out a red hardcover booklet and handed it to me with ceremony. Gold lettering on the front. Temporary wildlife rescue worker. Official credential. Inside. My ID photo, stamped with the Forestry Bureau's bright red official seal. Yesterday, I was a criminal. Today I have a government-issued badge. Starting today, you're officially part of our Bureau's external staff, Wong announced. This South China tiger cub is classified as a special rescue subject under your full care. But wait, there was more. His guys started unloading the truck. 3 massive boxes of imported lamb milk powder. 2 cases of specialized tiger cub calcium supplements and vitamins. Sterile gauze, disinfectant, and a heated sleeping pad. The pile in my yard looked like a small warehouse. The cub's digestive system is fragile, Chin lectured. No raw meat yet. Transition with the milk formula and supplements first. I've written out the feeding schedule and ratios. I put the cub on the heated pad. He rolled over once, felt the warmth, and started purring like his entire life had been leading to this moment. Then Wong said the magic words. Lin Feng, send me your bank account number. For what? Food expenses. You're assisting with the rescue of a Class 1 protected species. You think we'd let you pay out of pocket? The Bureau held an emergency meeting last night and approved a special funding allocation. I gave him my account number without hesitation. 1 minute later, my phone buzzed. I looked at the screen. Your account ending in 0906 has received 50,000 yen. Note, Class 1 Protected Animal Special Care Fund. I stared at that number for 5 full seconds. 50,000 yuan. I'd spent 200,000 leasing my farmland. Had barely 50,000 left. Was lying awake at night worrying about how to fund the initial farm construction. Money was tighter than a drum. And now, before I'd planted a single seed, I was on government welfare. For a tiger. This is just the initial payment, Wang added casually. South China tigers eat enormous amounts. Once it's weaned in a couple months, it'll need over 10 kilograms of quality meat per day. This 50,000 is earmarked strictly for the cub. You'll receive 30,000 per month ongoing. 30,000 per month ongoing. I looked down at the cub, who was currently gnawing on my shoe with the intensity of someone who'd never seen footwear before. This sit in prison forever beast just became my meal ticket. I was eating the tiger's rice now, living off a cub's government allowance, getting paid to pet a cat. Thank you, government. I tucked that credential into my jacket with the smoothest motion I've ever performed. Faster than a card dealer in Vegas. Free money, legal certification, monthly salary. All because 2 hedgehogs shoved a baby tiger through a mouse hole. Those spiky little criminals accidentally gave me the best job in China. Wang stood up to leave, reminding me they'd install high-precision infrared cameras around the perimeter soon and to evacuate immediately if Tiger Mom came back. If she returns, protect yourself first, then call the police. Understood, understood. He walked to his car, opened the door, put one foot inside, and then something happened. Of course it did. Nothing in my life ends cleanly anymore. Wang had 1 foot in his car. 1 foot. He was literally about to drive away and let me live in peace for the first time in 48 hours. Then the bushes exploded. A yellow-brown blur shot out of the undergrowth like a furry missile and slammed into the stone block by my gate. It tumbled twice, scrambled up on shaky legs, slender body, small backward curving horns. Red muntjac? Chen blurted out, professional instincts kicking in before his brain caught up. Class 2 Protected Species. They're extremely shy. They never leave deep forest. Its thoughts were screaming. Help. Monster behind me. Can't run anymore. Before anyone could process that, another one burst out and dove headfirst into my firewood pile. Just a trembling but sticking out. Wang slowly removed his foot from the car and closed the door. He turned to me with an expression I can only describe as a man watching his sanity leave his body. Lin Feng. Is your yard built on some kind of feng shui vortex? Or do you have a built-in wildlife magnet? We just dealt with a tiger and now deer are lining up? Wang, this has nothing to do with me. I haven't even left the door, then we all heard it. Thud, thud, thud. Not a car engine. Hooves. Dozens of hooves pounding dirt. And a wall of dust rising at the end of the village road like a sandstorm was coming. There's more? Chen stretched his neck toward the road. I looked past the Forestry Bureau trucks from my second-floor balcony. Best view in the house. What I saw made my mouth twitch so hard I thought my face would cramp. 7 or 8 muntjac deer were stampeding down the narrow dirt road in a blind panic. Screaming. Legs practically airborne. Running faster than they'd ever run in their lives. And behind them? Behind them was Tiger Mom. Over 2 meters of pure white apex predator, strolling along at a leisurely pace, casually herding an entire flock of protected wildlife down the village road like she was a giant sheepdog bringing them to market. Whenever one deer tried to break left into the trees, whoosh, she'd accelerate, cut it off, and force it back onto the road. Perfect positioning. Flawless technique. She looked like she'd been doing this her entire life. The yard went dead silent. Just panicked hoofbeats and heavy deer breathing. The special police were shaking behind their shields. Chen's jaw was on the ground. Wang was holding his megaphone and appeared to have been struck by lightning. Frozen solid, cooked through. Chun. Wang turned his head robotically. Do tigers herd prey animals? Like, as a group behavior? No. Chen sounded like he was sleepwalking. Tigers are solitary ambush predators. They kill with one strike. They would never drive prey like a sheepdog. This violates every principle of biological. Forget your biological principles. Every principle this professor brought to my village has been personally destroyed by Tiger Mom within 24 hours. Wang was about to have an aneurysm. His overnight report had described this tiger as emotionally stable, remarkably docile, voluntarily entrusted offspring to human caretaker. Docile. He called her docile. This, docile, animal was currently driving a herd of nationally protected deer toward my house, like a bandit conducting a livestock raid. I stood on the steps wanting to scream. What was her plan here? Was she restocking my fridge? Did she go grocery shopping in the mountains? She spotted me on the steps and her voice boomed through my skull. What are you standing around for? Close the gate, two-legged beast. Close the what? She wanted me to close the yard gate, to trap the deer inside. She'd herded them here on purpose, like a delivery service, like she was bringing me takeout, except the takeout was alive, terrified, and federally protected. This tiger was going to make me the most wanted man in China, not through violence, through gifts. First the hedgehogs brought me a tiger cub. Now the tiger was bringing me deer. At this rate, by next week someone's going to deliver a panda to my doorstep and I'll be on international news. I haven't planted a single vegetable. Not one. My farm is a wildlife trafficking operation that I didn't ask for, don't want, and can't stop. And the Forestry Bureau is still in my yard watching the whole thing happen. I ran across 3 mountain ridges to round these up for you, and you can't even close a gate. Tiger Mom was furious at me. Like this was my fault. Here's what happened. She herded those deer straight at my yard. I was supposed to shut the gate and trap them inside like some kind of livestock pen. But my gate is a rusty iron disaster that barely stands upright, and those muntjac deer hit my yard like a tornado. The lead deer slammed the brakes so hard its hooves carved trenches in the dirt, then launched itself off my firewood pile and sailed over the 2-meter wall like an Olympic hurdler. The rest copied the move instantly. 1, 2, 3. My tiny yard became a deer parkour course. Water buckets went flying. The well cover was getting stomped like a drum. All the supplies Fu gave me got kicked across the yard like confetti. The hedgehogs rolled into maximum density panic balls and burrowed to the deepest corner of their drawer. The tiger cub poked his head out sleepily, went huh, and a deer hoof sailed over his skull by inches. In 10 seconds flat, every single deer was gone. Over the wall, into the forest. Vanished. Tiger Mom lost it. Come back here. She rocketed forward, a white lightning bolt, and caught the very last deer, the slowest one who hadn't made it to the firewood pile yet. One massive paw slammed it to the ground. Done. 1 out of like 12. The rest were long gone. She dragged the stunned deer over to me and dropped it at my feet like a cat bringing a dead bird to its owner. Then she sat down, flicked her tail, and gave me the most withering look I have ever received from any living creature. You're hopeless. I chased these things all the way here. They were right at your doorstep. And you couldn't even close a door. With reflexes like yours, you wouldn't survive half a day in the mountains. But then she dropped the real reason for all this, and I wanted to bang my head against a wall. Your bony body was so uncomfortable to sleep next to last night. Your ribs kept poking me. You need to eat more meat and fatten up so you can be a proper mattress. She brought me livestock because I wasn't cushy enough as a pillow. This 400-pound tiger went on a pre-dawn mountain raid, herded a dozen protected deer across 3 ridges, drove them down the village road past government vehicles and armed police. All because my ribcage was ruining her sleep quality. I can't eat all this, I said. She snorted. Keep what you can eat alive. Also, this is your fault. I only caught one because you fumbled the gate. She knocked the deer unconscious with one casual paw slap, stood up, shook herself off, and announced, delivery complete. I'm going to go have fun. See you tonight. She walked out past the entire Forestry Bureau team without a second glance and disappeared into the mountains. I stood there holding an unconscious nationally protected deer by the hind leg, looking at Wong, who had the expression of a man watching reality fold in on itself. So, Chief Wong, what do we do about this? He stared at the deer. If I stew this thing, my 50,000 yuan won't cover the fine. You want it back? His eye was twitching at a frequency that might qualify as a medical emergency. Because here was his dilemma. If he takes the deer, Tiger Mom comes back tonight, sees I didn't eat her gift, and might retaliate by driving an entire herd of wild boar into the Forestry Bureau parking lot. He turned to Chun, voice barely above a whisper. Professor, if a person passively receives a Class 2 protected animal as a gift from a Class 1 protected animal, how many years in prison is that? Chun pushed his glasses up, swallowed. Passively receives a gift from a Class 1 to a Class 2? Chief Wong. That's not in the law. mainly because the people who wrote the law could never have imagined this would happen. Wong pulled out his phone. At this point, he had the number on speed dial. Hello, sir. It's me again. Yes, the Lin Feng situation. The tiger didn't hurt anyone. However, he looked at me, gritted his teeth, and said, the tiger decided he was too skinny, so she just delivered a Class 2 protected animal to his house as takeout. Silence on the other end. Complete, absolute, soul-crushing silence. Somewhere in a government office, a senior official was staring at his phone, questioning whether his entire department had gone insane. Meanwhile, I was standing in my yard at 7 in the morning, holding a deer, surrounded by traumatized hedgehogs, a sleeping tiger cub, and 6 government employees who'd collectively given up on understanding biology. Day 2. Still 0 vegetables planted. The phone call between Wong and his boss was beautiful. 10 seconds of silence. Then the boss just sighed. Got it. Wong was stunned. That's IT? No questions. What do you want me to do? Send a negotiation expert to discuss with the tiger about using proper delivery channels instead of surprise drop-offs. Wong had no comeback for that. The boss laid down 3 rules. 1. The deer belongs to Lin Feng. Nobody takes it away. 2. Install surveillance cameras, and I'm pretty sure this was less about monitoring wildlife safety and more about the boss wanting to watch Tiger Mom's next delivery live. 3. Classify everything top secret. Official story is wildlife observation point. All funding comes from special accounts. Wong hung up, turned to me with a smile so forced it looked painful, and delivered the verdict. The organization has decided to respect the mother tiger's wishes. The deer is yours, so it's mine? Yes. But you can't eat it, sell it, or mistreat it. Feed it well. When it wants to leave, let it go. Then he bolted, grabbed Chun, shoved him in the truck, and peeled out of my yard faster than Tiger Mom runs. The only thing he yelled out the window was, there's cameras in the supply boxes. Install them yourself. The dust hadn't even settled before they were gone. I looked down at the unconscious deer at my feet. Great. Another mouth to feed. I checked it over. No injuries, just knocked out cold by Tiger Mom's casual slap. Breathing fine, heartbeat normal. I installed the cameras, then went to make the cub's milk. Before I finished, I heard hooves. The deer was awake, standing in the middle of my yard, legs shaking, big black eyes darting everywhere. The gate was wide open. Freedom was right there. Go on. I waved. Doors open. Back to the mountains. It looked at me, looked at the gate, then walked to the corner of the wall and lay down. Nope, not leaving. I went over and patted its butt. The exit is that way. Go home. Its thoughts were pure terror. Not going out there. Outside means death. I physically picked this 30-pound animal up, carried it outside, and set it on the road. Tiger Mom is gone. Nothing's chasing you. Go. I turned around. Took 3 steps. Tap, 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 tap. It sprinted past me, ran back into the yard, and flopped in the exact same corner. Then looked at me like, what? This spot has tiger smell. Other predators won't come near tiger smell. This is literally the safest place in the mountains. You're using the tiger's scent as a security system? The tiger who caught you? What kind of survival logic is that? I looked around my yard. Tiger cub drinking milk from an enamel mug. Hedgehog mom peeking out of her drawer. Baby hedgehog behind her. Deer curled up in the corner like a house pet. Class 1 protected animal. Class 2 protected animal. Class 3 protected animal. Full collection. Noah's Ark, Rural China edition. Fine. Stay? I don't care anymore. I made myself noodles with leftover braised pork sauce, slurped them down, and decided. It's been 3 days. I haven't looked at my farmland once. Today I'm doing actual farm stuff. No tigers. No deer. No hedgehog drama. Farming. I grabbed the cub and headed out. Come on, let's go inspect the territory. Outside? Playing? Not playing. Working. He followed me on his stumpy legs, but kept swatting at a bee buzzing around his head. Missing every time, obviously. His paw-eye coordination was tragic. I shooed the bee away, and then heard its tiny voice in my head. Going home. Home on the cliff. So windy, I froze. I looked at this bee. It was smaller than a normal Chinese honeybee. Darker abdomen. Almost black-brown. Transparent wings with smoky edges. My pupils dilated. Rock bee. Cliff bee. I crouched down and listened harder. Home is so high on the cliff. Sisters are all there. So much honey. Can't eat it all. Cliff. Home. So much honey. Those three phrases detonated in my brain like dynamite. Cliff honey. Rock bees build their hives on sheer cliff faces. Unreachable, untouchable vertical walls of stone. The honey they produce is called cliff honey, and it's basically liquid gold. Regular honey sells for a few bucks a pound. Good local honey, maybe 20 or 30. Wild cliff honey, starting price $80 a pound. Premium quality breaks 200, because nobody can get to it. The hives hang on cliffs 30, 50, sometimes 100 meters up. Most humans can't reach them without risking death. Supply is tiny, demand is huge. And 200 acres of wasteland, backed right up against the mountains, surrounded by karst limestone formations. Cliffs, everywhere. If I could find the hive, map the colony, I could set up artificial nesting structures on the cliff faces near my land. Not moving the bees, just building fake cliff homes to attract them naturally. My farm might not have a single vegetable yet, but it might have something worth 10 times more. I watched the bee lift off and fly southeast, toward the deep mountains. I didn't hesitate. I tightened my bag strap, grabbed the cub, and followed. Finally, after 3 days of tiger chaos, hedgehog crimes, and deer deliveries, I was doing something that might actually make money. Let's go find some liquid gold. Somewhere on a warm rock in the mountains, Tiger Mom was sunbathing and reviewing my performance. Can't even guard a herd of deer. Brain works fine, body is useless. Arms like bamboo sticks. His ribs poke me all night. Need to fatten him up. She'd tried delivering a dozen deer to my doorstep, and I'd only kept one. The one she knocked out. My feeding efficiency was apparently unacceptable to her. Then she had a thought that terrified me even from a distance. My fat friend would know how to fatten him up. I don't know who this fat friend is, and I don't want to find out. But I had bigger things to focus on. I was finally doing farm stuff. Real, actual, money-making farm stuff. That bee I'd shoot away. I followed it. For 40 minutes, through increasingly steep terrain, along an old hunting trail that was more weed than path. The cub rode in my shoulder bag like a fuzzy backpack, excited at first, then motion sick, then asleep. I didn't need to see the bee to track it. I could hear its thoughts, a tiny GPS voice in my brain going, almost there, past the big tree, up a bit more. Sisters are waiting up high. I pushed through the last patch of bushes, and the valley opened up. I stopped breathing. Across the canyon was a vertical limestone cliff, maybe 70 or 80 meters tall. And on that cliff face, 13 massive wild beehives. Giant half-moon shapes, golden shields hanging from rock crevices, the biggest one over a meter across. Thousands of rock bees swarming around them like a shimmering gold fog. The humming echoed through the canyon like monks chanting. And dripping down the rock face, amber streaks of honey. Pure wild cliff honey, oozing out of the combs, painting the stone gold. Cliff honey, the liquid gold of the mountains. Regular honey, a few bucks a pound. Nice local honey, maybe 20. Wild cliff honey, $80 a pound minimum. Premium grade breaks 200. Because these bees build their homes on sheer vertical cliffs that no sane person can climb. The supply is basically zero, and the demand is insane. My brain went into overdrive. 13 hives. South-facing cliff with morning to afternoon sun. Perfect for rock bees. Stream at the bottom. Wildflowers for miles in every direction. Unlimited nectar sources. Natural limestone crevices everywhere for nesting. And the cliff was 800 meters from my farmland. I could build artificial nesting structures on the cliff faces near my property. Wood and clay, coated in old beeswax, designed to mimic natural rock crevices. During swarming season, the bees would colonize them on their own. No need to move hives. Just build it, and they'll come. 200 acres of useless wasteland, suddenly sitting next to a cliff honey gold mine. The math was making my head spin. I was standing there calculating future revenue like a proper businessman when a gust of sweet honey-scented wind blew across the canyon. That's when the bag on my shoulder exploded. Sweet. Something smells sweeter than milk. Where is it? Over there. The cub launched himself out of the bag like a furry white cannonball. Before I could even yell, "Stop!" he was already bouncing across the rocky slope toward the cliff face at a speed that was absolutely not supposed to be possible for an animal that hadn't been weaned yet. Come back. Too late. He hit a patch of honey that had dripped onto the rocks. His little paw pads had zero traction on that stuff. All 4 legs went sideways and he slid, face first, directly into a beehive. Crash. Half the hive broke off and smashed on the ground. Golden honey splattered everywhere. Wax fragments flew like shrapnel. And then the world ended. Bee. Thousands of rock bees erupted from the broken hive simultaneously. The sound was like someone started a tractor engine inside my skull. A black-brown cloud of extremely angry insects formed above the cub in about 2 seconds. He was standing there, face covered in honey, blinking in confusion. Huh? Why are there so many buzzy things? Then they attacked. The first stinger hit him right in the forehead, right on the king character. Ow! Mommy! He let out the most dramatic scream I've ever heard from any creature, spun around, and sprinted straight at me, with the entire swarm chasing him. Like a tiny white comet with a buzzing tail. I watched this scene unfold from 30 meters away. My face cycled through shock, rage, exhaustion, and finally landed on the only rational response. Run. That's my cub. The pride of the nation. Class 1 protected animal. Future king of the jungle. Just got his butt kicked by bees because he couldn't resist sweets. Like mother, like son, bringing me chaos I never asked for. Except this time, the chaos had 10,000 stingers and a very personal grudge. You absolute maniac. You headbutt the beehive. I was already running. But the cub was faster. He caught up in 3 bounces, dove into my pant leg like a furry torpedo, squirmed up through my shirt, and latched onto my back with all 4 claws dug into my shoulders. Now I was running from thousands of angry bees with a tiger strapped to my back like a screaming backpack. They stung my back. One hit. Felt like someone jabbed a lit cigarette into my skin. But I couldn't stop. I was sprinting down that hunting trail like my life depended on it, because it literally did. Meanwhile, back at my yard, Afu had shown up on his ancient bicycle, the kind where everything rattles except the bell. He'd brought sugarcane as a gift. Sweet guy. He noticed I wasn't home and did something truly stupid. He looked down at Mama Hedgehog and asked, "Hey, do you know where your benefactor went?" He immediately wanted to slap himself. Asking a hedgehog for directions? Has he lost his? Mama Hedgehog stood up, looked at him, turned around, and pointed her nose toward the southeast mountains. Afu's phone slipped back into his pocket. His brain stopped working. Did that hedgehog just give him directions? Before he could process this, my screaming reached the village. Fu. He turned and saw me burst out of the tree line. White blob on my back, black cloud behind me, running like I owed money to the devil. His face went white. He's a mountain kid. He knows rock bees. Once they're angry, they chase you until you're dead or gone. Phone bro. Jump in the river. There was a stream 30 meters east of my yard. Deep enough this time of year. I didn't think twice. Full sprint, straight into the water. Splash. Me and the cub went under. Ice-cold mountain water hit every bee sting on my back like salt on a wound. The swarm circled the surface a few times, couldn't find targets, and eventually buzzed back toward the canyon. When I stood up, I was soaked head to toe, hair plastered to my face, spitting creek water. The cub was clinging to my back looking like a drowned rat. All his fluffy white fur matted flat, making him look half his normal size. Afu ran over, took one look, and burst out laughing. Then he saw the cub's face. The laughing stopped. Left eye, swollen shut. Right cheek, golf ball-sized lump. Nose, still had a stinger embedded in it. His entire face looked like someone had inflated it with a bicycle pump. The king of the jungle had been transformed into a dumpling. Ow wow. Face hurts. Buzzy things are mean. I peeled him off my back, looked at his swollen disaster of a face, felt sorry for him for exactly 1 second, then smacked his butt. That's what you get for running off. Afu brought over his grandma's old snakebite ointment. Works on bee stings too, decades-old recipe. He got the stinger out of my one sting on my back and slapped some ointment on it. Just one sting. I ran fast enough that the bees spent all their ammunition on the cub instead. The cub? 7 stings. I counted while dabbing ointment on each swollen bump with a cotton swab. 3 on the left eye, 2 on the lip, 1 on the nose, 1 on the chin. He didn't dare move. He could tell I was angry. The scary 2-legged beast is mad. Tiger will be very still. Lucky these were rock bees, I told him. Low toxicity. If those had been hornets, you'd be dead right now. After treatment, he crawled into my lap with his swollen piggy face and whimpered. I didn't push him away. I just held this puffy little idiot and sighed. Then I showed Afu the photos. His jaw hit the floor. Is that cliff honey? His voice jumped so high it startled Mama Hedgehog awake from her sunbathing nap. 13 hives. East-facing cliff. 800 meters from my land. Afu went completely still. He's local. He'd grown up hearing legends about cliff honey deep in the mountains, but nobody knew where exactly. Old hunters could go their whole careers without finding any. I'd been back 3 days. Phone bro, my grandpa told me about this stuff. 15 years ago, outside buyers were paying $600 or $700 a pound. That was the old price. Current market rate for premium wild cliff honey, I said, leaning against the wall, is over $1,000 a pound. Easy. Afu sucked in air so hard I thought he'd inhale a fly. $1,000 a pound. 13 hives. He looked at the photos. Looked at me. Looked at the cub's swollen face. Looked back at the photos. The cub nearly died for those pictures. But those pictures might be worth more than everything I own. Sometimes the best business opportunities come gift-wrapped in 10,000 bee stings. Afu, gear up. We're going back in. His face went blank. Back to the bees? Back to the bees. I transferred him 1,000 yuan for supplies, mainly beekeeper suits, because going back without protection would be suicide, and I'd already used up my one lifetime allotment of outrunning an angry swarm with a tiger on my back. Afu pedaled off on his ancient bicycle, the kind where the chain sounds like a dying accordion, but the bell hasn't worked since the previous dynasty. 3 hours later he was back, and he'd brought reinforcements. Old man Lu, 50s, grew up scrambling up cliffs with hunters, basically a mountain goat in human form. And his son little Lu, early 20s, just back from factory work in the city. I left the cub at home on his heated pad with a mug of milk. His face was still puffy, left eye a slit, right cheek lumpy, nose swollen. He watched me leave with one functioning eye and whimpered. Two-legged beast isn't bringing tiger. Tiger will wait like a good boy. Stay home. Don't touch anything. 40 minutes into the mountains, old man Lu was leading, hacking vines with a machete. He turned to me. Kid, how'd you find this place? I've been in these mountains 30 years and never came this way. Lucky, I guess. Then the canyon opened up and old man Lu stopped dead. Sweet mother of, his son caught up. Dad, what I asked that? Cliff honey. The old man's voice was shaking. The real deal. He told us his father had seen one hive his whole life. Harvested 3 pounds from it. Sold it, and fed the family for half a year. There were 13 in front of us. How much honey is that? He swallowed hard. At least 50 or 60 pounds, I said. But we're not taking everything today. Only the outer mature honeycombs. Leave the brood combs and pollen combs untouched. The colony needs to keep breeding. Old man Lu gave me a look of respect. No killing the golden goose. We suited up. Full beekeeper gear. Suits, masks, gloves. Old man Lu took point on the cliff face. The man was a genuine spider. Hands, feet, cracks in the rock. 15 minutes, and he was level with the first hive. Holy, even through the mask I could hear him gasp. Perfect golden honeycombs, sealed and bursting. When his knife barely touched the outer layer, amber honey started flowing down the blade like liquid jewelry. He cut with surgical precision. Combs went into sealed buckets. Afu ran relay below, swapping full buckets for empty ones. For hives harvested, 2 full buckets. Old man Lu came down red-faced and panting. That's the limit for today, phone bro. The upper ones are too high. But what we got? That's at least 20 pounds. 20 pounds. At market price? Several tens of thousands of yuan. From one afternoon's work. But I wasn't done yet. Wait, I said, and closed my eyes. Everyone stared at me. Phone bro, give me a minute. I was listening. After the smoke and the harvesting, the hive was chaos. Thousands of worker bees all screaming at once in my head, like static on a broken radio. But I wasn't looking for workers. I was looking for her. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Then, from deep inside the third hive, a different frequency. Slower. Calmer. Regal. Home. Broken. Need to move. The queen. I opened my eyes and locked onto a small cluster of bees at the bottom of the third hive. A living ball of workers protecting their monarch. She was in the center. Old man Lu, lend me your knife? I climbed up. Only 5 or 6 meters. Nothing compared to what Lu had done. I reached the bee cluster and extended my bare hand toward it. Worker bees crawled onto my skin. Stingers raised. Ready to fire. But I didn't flinch. My hand was steady as stone. No swatting. No shaking. I even slowed my breathing until I was practically a statue. The queen's voice grew clearer in my head. Warm. Not moving. Safe? I gently closed my fingers. The ball dispersed, and there she was, longer abdomen, slightly brighter color, sitting in my palm like she'd chosen to be there. I slipped her into a bamboo tube cage I prepared, capped it with mesh, and climbed back down. 30 seconds total. No stings. I held up the cage for Afu. What's that? The queen. He squinted at the oversized bee inside the tube, confused. Why do you want the queen? Artificial guided farming, I said. Put the queen in a man-made hive near my land. Workers follow the queen automatically. No more risking our necks on cliff faces. Cliff honey on demand. Afu stopped walking. Stared at me. You can farm cliff honey? Most people can't. I looked at him with just the slightest grin. But I can, because I have the one advantage no beekeeper in history has ever had. I can hear the bees talk. I knew exactly when the queen was calm, exactly where she was hiding, exactly what she needed to feel safe. No guessing, no fumbling, just a direct line into the mind of every insect in a 100-meter radius. 20 pounds of cliff honey in the bucket. A queen bee in a bamboo tube. A plan to turn 200 acres of wasteland into the most valuable honey farm in the province. Day 3. Still no vegetables. But honestly, vegetables can wait. Afu thought I was being cocky when I said I could farm cliff honey. Then he thought about it for 2 seconds. I'd been back 3 days, tamed a tiger, got on government payroll, and found a honey gold mine. Maybe I'd earned a little cockiness. We hauled the honey back to the village, and I did what felt right. Split it up. Some for Afu and the crew. The rest I had the village chief distribute to the neighbors. These people raised me when I had nothing. A few pounds of honey was the least I could do. The chief left grinning so wide I could see his wisdom teeth. You're a good kid, Alphone. I kept under 5 pounds for myself. Stashed it in a jar in the storage shed on the east side of my yard. Then I got to work on the real project, setting up the queen. The queen bee was sitting in her bamboo tube cage, antsy but calm. Her thoughts were restless, dark, stuffy. Want to go out. Where's my family? I built the artificial hive from stuff lying around. Old wood planks nailed into a rectangular frame. Inner walls coated with yellow clay mixed with straw to mimic rough cliff texture. Ventilation hole on top, entrance at the bottom. Then the secret ingredient. Old beeswax scraped from the harvested combs, melted down in a cracked iron bowl over a small flame. The moment that wax liquefied, the smell hit. Rich, floral, waxy. To a rock bee, that scent means home. I painted layer after layer inside the hive until every surface was coated. Carried the whole thing to the spot I'd picked yesterday, sheltered from wind, south-facing, near water, surrounded by nectar plants for miles. Last step. I opened the cage and released the queen inside. She walked around, antennae scanning everything. Familiar smell. Is this a new home? This human made something so warm. Even better than before. I exhaled. It worked. She accepted it. Within 3 days to a week, her pheromones would draw in wandering workers. The beeswax coating would speed things up. Once established, I'd build more hives along the cliff faces during swarming season. No more death-defying cliff climbing. Cliff honey, produced sustainably on MY land. 1,000 yuan per pound. 13 source colonies. The math was beautiful. I dusted off my hands and headed home, daydreaming about dinner. Should I stir-fry something? Or do another round of braised pork belly? My mouth was already watering. If there's enough meat left, I'm definitely doing the pork again. Boom. A massive impact sound from my yard. Like something large had smashed through a wall at full speed. Dust cloud rising above my property. What now? I forgot about pork belly. I forgot about everything. I just ran. Afu and half the village heard it too. Everyone abandoned dinner and came running. By the time Afu reached my gate, I was already standing there, frozen, staring at the east side of my yard. Phone bro, what happened? I couldn't speak. I just pointed. My storage shed, the little half-brick, half-wood building, had a hole in it. Not a crack. Not damage. A hole big enough for a refrigerator to walk through. Broken bricks and snapped timber everywhere. Dust still settling. From inside, rustling sounds. And wet, satisfied lip smacking. The villagers were buzzing. What smashed through the wall? Was it Tiger Mom? No way. She doesn't come during daytime. I didn't wait for theories. I walked up to the hole and looked inside. The dust cleared. Sitting in the rubble, completely unbothered, was the most recognizable animal on planet Earth. Round body, short limbs, black and white fur, signature dark circles around its eyes like it hadn't slept in 300 years. A giant panda. A giant panda. In its arms was my jar of cliff honey, already open. One thick, furry paw was scooping honey out and shoving it into its mouth, smacking its lips. Honey smeared all over its face, having the absolute time of its life. It had apparently smelled the honey from the mountain edge, charged my shed at full speed, demolished the wall, and was now sitting in the wreckage eating my 1,000 yuan per pound liquid gold like it was free yogurt. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I remembered Tiger Mom's thought from earlier. My fat friend would know how to fatten him up. This was the fat friend. She sent a panda. I stared at the panda. The panda smacked its lips. The villagers stared at me. Nobody said a word. Day 3. No vegetables. No farm. Just a tiger cub with a swollen face sleeping inside. 2 hedgehogs hiding in a drawer. A deer camping in the corner. A queen bee in a new home. And now, a giant panda eating my retirement fund in my destroyed storage shed. My yard isn't a farm. It's a zoo. And I didn't apply for the job. Afu's bowl hit the ground. Rice went everywhere. Nobody noticed. Every single person was staring at the hole in my shed where a giant panda was sitting in the rubble, scooping my cliff honey into its mouth with its fat paws, smacking its lips like it was at a 5-star buffet. Phone bro. Afu's voice came out like a squeezed balloon. Is that a, yes, a, giant panda? Giant panda. The village chief's voice cracked. I'm 60-something years old. Seen wild boars, black bears, clouded leopards. But a panda. I tuned into its thoughts. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Sweet honey. 10,000 times better than bamboo. Then, once I eat enough, I'll feed some to that 2-legged beast. Tiger Sis was right. He's skinny as a bamboo stick. Tiger Sis. My eye twitched. Tiger Mom sent this panda. Her deer delivery failed because I couldn't close a gate, so she called in her best friend for backup. She'd literally formed a committee. The Fatten Up Lin Feng Task Force. Chairwoman, Tiger Mom. First recruit, 100-kilogram panda with 0 self-control around honey. The panda finished its feast, stood up, bricks crunching under its feet, hesitated for half a second about sharing the jar, then waddled out of the hole and shoved the honey pot into my hands. Here, eat. The jar was still half full, golden honey gleaming in the light, also covered in panda paw prints and bear slobber. Thanks, I'm good. Eat. Its thoughts turned impatient. You think I wanted to share? Tiger Sis made me come. I ran across 3 mountains. I didn't even want to be here, but she's terrifying when she's angry. I pushed the jar back. You can have it. You sure? I'm sure. Well, if you insist. It snatched the jar back, plopped down on the ground, and went right back to scooping honey into its face, whole body vibrating with joy. Even its stubby little tail was quivering. I sighed and walked out. Behind me, a wall of villagers with their jaws on the floor. Phone bro. Is that really a giant panda? Yes. Why is it at your house? Tiger Mom called it over. HUH? Don't ask. I had exactly one priority right now. I looked up at the surveillance cameras the Forestry Bureau had given me. I'd installed the hardware, but hadn't connected the Wi-Fi yet. I grabbed a chair, opened the camera housing, paired it with my phone. What are you doing, phone bro? Connecting the cameras? Right now? Right now. If Wong sees this in person tomorrow, he'll need actual heart medication. Better to let him discover it on a screen so he can have his stroke privately. Meanwhile, at the Forestry Bureau, Wong was on the phone with his boss, giving a status update. Everything calm. Tiger cub recovering. Monitoring perimeter. Mother tiger's range confirmed at 15 kilometers from the property. Did the cameras get connected? The boss asked. Lin Feng said he'd do it today. Ping. Device, Lin Feng Yard, 01, connected. Device, Lin Feng Yard, 02, connected. Perfect timing, sir. They just came online. Wong opened both feeds. Camera 1. Tiger cub napping on his heated pad, face still puffy. Deer resting in the shade. Hedgehogs by their drawer. Normal. He exhaled. Everything looks stable. Then camera 2. From the right edge of the frame, a round black and white figure waddled into view. Short legs. Round body. Black eye circles. It shuffled to the water basin in the corner, bent down, and shoved its entire face into the water. Glug, glug, glug. Came back up with water dripping off its chin and a vegetable leaf stuck to its nose. Wang's hand froze on the mouse. Hello? What happened? Talk to me, the boss said. Wang didn't talk. He screenshotted the feed and sent it via WeChat. The phone went silent. Somewhere in a government office, a senior official was staring at a surveillance screenshot of a giant panda drinking water from a basin in some random farmer's yard, next to a tiger cub, a deer, and 2 hedgehogs. I imagine he put his phone down very slowly, looked out the window, and seriously reconsidered his career choices. Day 3. Animal count: 1 white tiger cub, 1 adult white tiger, visiting nightly. 2 hedgehogs, 1 deer, 1 giant panda, and 1 queen bee. Vegetable count: 0. Seeds planted: 0. Sanity remaining: debatable. But hey, at least the cameras work now. Wang called within 5 minutes of the cameras going live. Speed record. Lin Feng. The thing on camera too. Is that a panda? Yes. Giant panda. How did it get there? Smashed through my shed wall. Ate most of my cliff honey. Tiger mom sent it because she thinks I'm too skinny. 7 or 8 seconds of silence. Then a sigh so deep it sounded like his soul was leaving through his phone speaker. Lin Feng. Could you maybe ask the tiger to file advance notice before making these arrangements? Chief Wang. She's a tiger, not a civil servant. The panda, meanwhile, had licked the honey jar cleaner than a dishwasher and was now sprawled out on the dry grass patch where the hedgehogs used to nap. The hedgehogs had vanished to parts unknown. Smart move. This spot is nice. Soft. Nap time. More eating tomorrow. Tomorrow? You just inhaled 3 pounds of my liquid gold and you're planning a second course? Wang, send people to pick this thing up. It's clearly moving in. My yard is becoming a zoo, except zoos charge admission. I'm just hemorrhaging money. Got it. Don't let it escape. Escape? I looked at the black and white blob melting into the ground like a furry puddle. It ate its own body weight in honey. It's not going anywhere. 45 minutes later, the wildlife team arrived. The panda was still unconscious from its food coma, which made everything easy. Tranquilizer, stretcher, into the truck. 20 minutes, done. The senior vet was a sharp woman named Dr. Zhou. She asked if the panda had shown any unusual behavior. Nope. Just ate and slept. Strong appetite. Excessive sleepiness, she repeated to herself, and her eyebrow twitched slightly. She didn't say why, just nodded and left. After they drove off, I looked at my yard. Tiger-shaped dent in the sleeping pad. Panda-shaped crater in the straw. Deer in the corner. Hedgehogs in hiding. A day's worth of cliff honey. Gone. The cub wobbled over to where the panda had been lying and sniffed the massive butt print in the grass. Where'd the big round thing go? Away. Go to sleep. I thought that was the end of it. Panda removed. Crisis resolved. Maybe tomorrow I could actually start farming. At 1:40 a.m., Dr. Zhou called Wang. Results are in. Female panda, 7 to 8 years old, excellent health. Better condition than our captive-bred pandas, actually. Great. So, she's pregnant. I wasn't there for this phone call, but I can't imagine the silence that followed. The kind of silence where a man's entire cardiovascular system pauses to reconsider its purpose. A pregnant panda. A pregnant, wild, giant panda. The rarest bear on earth, carrying a baby, had just been in my shed eating my honey like it was a maternity craving. Tiger Mom didn't just send her friend to fatten me up. She sent her pregnant friend, the one who needs extra calories, the one whose hormones make her hungry and sleepy, the one who is, from a conservation standpoint, quite possibly the single most valuable individual animal in the entire province. And she sent her to my house. Because I'm too skinny. Somewhere in a government building, Wang was probably staring at his ceiling, doing math. 1 white tiger mother, visiting nightly. 1 white tiger cub, resident. 2 hedgehogs, employees. 1 deer, tenant. And now 1 pregnant giant panda who had already demonstrated she knows where I live and what my honey tastes like. She was going to come back. Of course she was going to come back. She'd found the greatest honey stash in the mountains, and she had pregnancy cravings. Day 3 isn't even over yet, and I've somehow become the unofficial wildlife maternity ward of southern China. I still haven't planted a single vegetable. Apparently, the panda was pregnant. I didn't find this out until later, but here's what happened after they took her away. Dr. Zhou ran blood tests at 1 a.m., saw abnormal hormone levels, demanded an ultrasound machine at that exact moment. Her assistant tried to suggest waiting until morning and got shut down with a single word. Now, 3 seconds after the ultrasound probe touched the panda's belly, everyone in the room stopped breathing. Clear as day on the screen, a tiny curled-up baby panda, due in 2 to 3 weeks. Wang got called at 1:40 a.m. He was barely conscious. She's pregnant. I'm told he stood up so fast he forgot to put on shoes. Bare feet on cold floor. Brain buzzing like a broken fuse box. A wild pregnant panda. In GUENGXI. Nowhere near the known panda habitats. Which meant there might be an entire undiscovered panda population hiding in my mountains. This wasn't just wildlife news. This was a national-level scientific bombshell. And it all started because Tiger Mom thought I was too bony to cuddle. Meanwhile, at the conservation center, the panda woke up from sedation at 2 a.m. She opened her eyes, saw white walls, iron bars, and the smell of disinfectant. Where am I? Where's my honey? She slapped the cage bars so hard the entire room shook. A night shift keeper rushed over with warm milk. She smacked the bowl out of his hands. Milk everywhere. Let me out. I still have honey to eat. Ma'am, that was my honey. And you ate 3 pounds of it already. But I didn't know any of this yet. Because for the first time in days, I had a normal morning. No tiger on my chest. No panda in my shed. No deer stampede. Just birds singing. I lay in bed for a few seconds, genuinely confused by the peace and quiet. Then I realized Tiger Mom hadn't visited last night. The panda was gone. Nobody had broken anything. I slept. Actually slept. A full night. My bones felt like they'd been reassembled by angels. I went downstairs, made rice porridge, sliced some pickled vegetables, ate half a leftover steamed bun, washed the dishes, opened my notebook where I'd written 3 tasks for today, check on the queen bee, inspect the artificial hive, plan the farmland zones, real farm work, actual productivity, no animals, no crises, no government officials with tranquilizer guns. I stepped outside. The cub was curled up on his heated pad. When he heard my footsteps, his ears popped up, then his head, then his whole body launched at my ankles. Outside. Outside. Tiger wants to go outside. I looked down at him. His face was mostly depuffed from the bee stings. Left eye finally open again, though still a bit droopy. Who crashed into a beehive yesterday? His ears drooped. Tiger did. Who got stung 7 times? Ears lower. Tiger did. Who made me jump into a freezing river? He flattened completely. Face buried between his paws. Just 2 big blue eyes peeking up at me, trembling with maximum guilt. Tiger knows he was bad. Tiger will never run off again. I squatted down and poked his forehead with 1 finger. 3 rules. 1. Stay with me, no running. 2. Don't charge at anything. 3. Break the rules, and you're locked home forever. His head shot up at that last one. No. Tiger will be good. Tiger is the goodest. Fine. Let's go. I stuffed him in my shoulder bag. He poked his head out immediately, ears at full attention, tail whacking the inside of the bag. Happy as could be. Before I left, I checked on the hedgehogs. I'd steamed a sweet potato for them this morning, cooled it down, and left it by their drawer. Mama Hedgehog was eating methodically. The baby had sweet potato mush all over her face and was lying belly up next to the food, legs twitching in food coma bliss. Yummy, warm, full tummy. Before, in the mountains, always running, always hungry, always chased by snakes. The benefactor is so good. Mama Hedgehog watched me leave, then looked down at her daughter. Something shifted in her little green eyes. Can't just keep freeloading. The benefactor works so hard every day. We eat for free. That's not right. She nudged the baby awake. Mommy, want to sleep more? Get up. We're going into the mountain. For what? No answer. Mama Hedgehog squeezed through a gap in the wall and headed toward the back mountains. The baby scrambled after her. Now, I didn't hear any of this. I was already heading to the farmland. But knowing those two, they were absolutely up to something. Last time they helped, I ended up with a tiger cub in my bed. The time before that, they tried to bring me a second one. Whatever Mama Hedgehog was planning, I could only pray it didn't involve any more nationally protected wildlife. But let's be honest, it probably did. Morning started perfectly. For once, I checked the artificial hive. 15 hours since I'd placed the queen, and already 30+ worker bees were moving in and out like it was open house day. Legs loaded with pollen, busy as can be. The queen's thoughts were calm and content. Warm. Safe. Sisters are coming. This home is good, faster than I expected. The cliff colonies were overcrowded, already wanting to split. My fake hive was basically a vacancy available sign at exactly the right time. A few more days, and I'd have a self-sustaining colony. Then I'd build hive 2, 3, 4, a whole cliff honey empire without ever climbing a cliff again. I spent the next hour walking my entire 200 acres. Let me tell you, 200 acres sounds like a number until you walk it. My legs were filing a formal complaint by the end. But I mapped the whole thing out. The land is a long, irregular strip running north to south. South end, flat, soft soil, close to the village road, perfect for fruit trees. Passion fruit for quick cash, mandarin oranges and longan for long-term profit. West side near the stream, vegetables. Bitter melon, loofah, green beans, chili peppers. Low cost, fast turnover, sell at the morning markets. North end near the mountains, fenced area for livestock, haven't decided what yet. East side along the cliff, my honey corridor of artificial hives. I was standing on a big rock in the middle of everything, sketching a rough zone map in my notebook, actually feeling like a real farmer for the first time since I arrived, when I realized something. It was quiet. Too quiet. I looked at my bag. Empty. Deep breath. Scan the area. 30 meters away, near the northern bushes, a white but sticking straight up in the air, front paws digging furiously, dirt and rocks flying everywhere like a tiny excavator. There's something down here. Smells amazing. Dig, dig, dig. 3 rules. We agreed to 3 rules less than an hour ago. Rule 1, stay with me. Rule 2, don't charge at things. He broke both within 40 minutes. New record. I marched over, grabbed him by the scruff, and yanked him up. What are you doing now? The words died in my throat. He had something in his mouth. A dark brown, lumpy thing covered in dirt, with wrinkled texture across its surface. And the smell, faint but unmistakable, like fermented pine wood mixed with earth and a hint of medicinal herbs. My hands started shaking. I gently pried it from his jaws. He protested. I didn't care. I wiped the mud off. Layered folds. Dense texture. Broke off a corner. Dark brown cross-section with visible fungal threads. Wu Ling Shun, also known as black spirit mushroom. A rare parasitic fungus that grows inside termite nests, usually found near lightning-struck dead trees. Average market price for decent quality? Several hundred yuan per pound. Wild ones with perfect shape and verified medicinal compounds? Over 1,000 per pound. I looked at the hole the cub had dug. Shallow, maybe a foot deep. The soil at the bottom was dark, mixed with rotted wood fragments. Classic termite nest indicators. And here's the thing about termite nests. They never contain just one of these fungi. I pressed my ear to the ground. The cub stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Why is the 2-legged beast lying on the dirt? I closed my eyes and pushed my hearing downward. Thousands, tens of thousands, of tiny voices from below. Dig. Carry. Eat. Dig. Carry. Eat. A massive termite colony. Right under my feet. Where there are termites, there's Wu Ling Shun. I stood up slowly. Looked at the fungus in my hand. Looked at the ground. Looked across the northern section of my wasteland and spotted several soil depression marks. Each one potentially another termite nest. Each nest potentially full of 1,000 yuan per pound medicinal fungus. 200 acres. Fruit trees above ground. Cliff honey on the cliffs. And now, rare medicinal fungi underground. This land wasn't worthless. This land was a gold mine with 3 separate veins. The cub was circling my feet, whining. Give it back. Tiger found it. Tiger smelled it first, then my phone rang. Wong. Lin phone. The panda's test results came back. His voice sounded like a man who hadn't slept in a century. She's pregnant. Due in 2 to 3 weeks. My hand froze. And there's another thing. She's been going berserk at the conservation center. Won't eat. Won't drink. Keeps slamming into her cage. Dr. Zhou says if this stress continues, it could endanger the baby. Oh no. I could feel where this was going. So, the organization was wondering. Wang took the deepest breath I've ever heard through a phone speaker. Could she maybe come back to your place? The pregnant panda. The honey-demolishing, wall-smashing, 1,000 yuan per pound consuming pregnant panda. The one who obliterated my storage shed 6 hours ago. They wanted to send her back. To my yard. To have her baby. I looked at the Wu Ling Shun in one hand. Phone in the other. Tiger cub at my feet. Cliff honey operation running. Farm plan sketched. Underground fungus treasure beneath my boots. My farm was finally, starting to come together. Real crops, real products, real money on the horizon. And now they wanted to add panda maternity ward to my resume. Day 4. Vegetable count, still 0. But I was getting closer. I could feel it. Right after I figured out where to put a pregnant panda. No, I said it before Wong even finished his pitch. Chief Wong, I'm running a farm. The land isn't cleared. The fruit trees aren't planted. I don't even have a fence yet. You want me to host a pregnant panda? I know the conditions aren't ideal, but at the center this isn't about conditions. A pregnant panda needs professional prenatal care, temperature-controlled birthing rooms, newborn nursing assistants. I can't do any of that. I don't have a vet license. I'm a guy who grows vegetables. If something goes wrong during delivery, what am I supposed to use? A kitchen knife? That shut him up. You're not wrong, he sighed, sounding like a man who'd aged 10 years in 3 days. Good. Boundaries established. Panda stays at the conservation center. Professionals handle it. I go back to farming. Problem solved, right? Wrong. Here's what I didn't know was happening while I was peacefully planning crop rotations at the Wildlife Center, DR. Joe checked the overnight logs. The panda had spent the entire night in full riot mode. Smashed milk bowls. Rammed the cage door. Refused all food. The staff notes read like a prison break movie script. 2:15 a.m. Subject awake, aggressive, hitting cage walls. 2:40 a.m. Milk offered, milk weaponized. 3:10 a.m. Sustained ramming of cage door, reinforcements applied. 5:50 a.m. Awake again, growling, hunger strike continues. 7:20 a.m. Lying in corner, refuses all contact. Dr. Zhou was speed walking down the hallway, mentally designing a stress reduction plan. Bamboo leaves on the floor, cliff honey scent diffusers, reduced human contact schedules. Then something ran past her. Not wind. A body. A round, black and white, floor-shaking body, sprinting down the hospital corridor at a speed that violated every law of physics applicable to an animal shaped like a bowling ball. Short legs pumping. Fat but swinging side to side. Claws scraping the tile floor like nails on a chalkboard. Dr. Zhou's brain blue screened for 2 full seconds. Then her assistant came flying around the corner, white coat flapping, t-shirt covered in muddy paw prints, a red welt across his face from being slapped by a bare paw. Dr. Zhou, stop it. The panda escaped. Escaped? How? The cage latch. She broke it. That's stainless steel. She spent all night hitting it. I went in to feed her. She went quiet. I thought she'd calm down. I opened the isolation room door, and she slapped me into the wall and just ran. The center's front door was automatic. Infrared sensor, designed for easy gurney access. 100-kilogram panda walks up to it, and, whoosh, door opens. Security system defeated by existing. By the time Zhou reached the entrance, all she saw was a black and white rear end vanishing into the bamboo forest behind the center. The conservation center had been deliberately built near the mountains for easy wildlife release access, 200 meters from the back door to dense forest. A brilliant design choice that was now the worst design choice. 8 staff members mobilized. 3 search teams. Fan formation through the bamboo, then the woods, then the scrubland. They followed clear paw prints up the slope, oversized, 5-toed, spaced way wider than normal walking stride. She'd been running. 10 minutes later, all 3 teams met on the hillside. The tracks ended at a rocky patch. Vanished completely. A 200-plus-pound pregnant panda had disappeared into the mountains like a ninja. Because she was a ninja. She was crouched behind a rock in a bush-covered hollow, watching the search teams stumble around the slope like lost tourists. Her thoughts, which I obviously didn't hear at the time but can reconstruct based on everything I know about this animal, were approximately, idiots. I grew up in these mountains. You people can't even find north and you think you can find me? She waited 5 minutes after they passed. Stood up, squeezed her round body out of the bushes, shook the leaves off. Then she lifted her nose into the wind. Pine resin, rotting leaves, wildflowers, creek water, dirt, and underneath all of that, faint but unmistakable, cliff honey, mixed with wood smoke and baby milk formula. Me. She could smell me. 2 mountain ridges away. Her eyes lit up. Found it. She turned southeast and started waddling at maximum speed. Here I come. A pregnant, escaped, government property giant panda was currently navigating through the wilderness using her nose as a GPS, locked onto the scent signature of my yard, driven by an unstoppable combination of pregnancy cravings and the memory of the greatest honey she'd ever tasted. And I was standing in my field, completely unaware, happily sketching farm zones in my notebook, thinking I'd finally gotten my life under control. I had not gotten my life under control. After hanging up on Wong, I got back to actual work. 14 termite nest sites across the northern 30 acres. I marked every one in my notebook. The underground potential was insane, but the problem was access. Most Wuling Shun grows 1 to 2 meters deep inside labyrinthine termite tunnels. The cub's find was a lucky shallow one. Digging the rest by hand would take forever. Then it hit me. Hedgehogs. Born diggers. Incredible noses. Mama hedgehog could sniff out underground fungi and mark the spots. I'd do the precision excavation. 5 times the efficiency minimum. I rushed home to recruit my employee. She was gone. Both of them. Just a dried-out sweet potato chunk and 2 sets of paw prints leading through the wall crack toward the back mountains. Great. My workforce had clocked out without notice. Probably off doing something that would result in another protected species showing up at my door. Whatever. They'd be back by evening. They always come back. The pork is here. I fed the cub fresh warm milk. Had to rewash the mug, reboil water, mix formula to exactly 45 degrees, defoam it. Raising a tiger is basically the same as raising a human baby, except the baby has claws and will one day weigh 400 pounds. By the time all that was done, the sun was getting low and my stomach was staging a full revolt. Morning porridge with pickled vegetables does not last until mid-afternoon. Time to cook. I walk toward the kitchen. The door is 2 old planks that don't close properly. There's always a finger-width gap in the middle. I was 3 steps from the door when I heard it. Smack. Smack, smack. Smack, smack, smack. Wet, sticky, deeply satisfied chewing sounds. The kind of noise someone makes when they're eating something incredible and have zero shame about it. I grinned. The hedgehogs came back early and broke into the kitchen. Little rascals. I was going to scare the spikes right off them. I crept up to the door like a cat. Silent footsteps. Hand on the wood panel. Leaned forward. B.O. The thing inside jumped. 2 fat paws shot straight up over its head. Beady black eyes inside massive dark circles went perfectly round. Classic surrender pose. The honey jar it had been cradling crashed to the floor. Cliff honey splattered everywhere. EK. Don't arrest me. I'm a good bear. Good bear. Then it saw who I was. The paws came down. The panic vanished. It blinked twice. Oh, it's just bamboo stick. You scared me half to death. Can you make some noise when you walk? Then it sat down and casually scratched the back of its head like absolutely nothing had happened. I stood in my kitchen doorway, completely frozen, brain attempting to reboot. That was not a hedgehog. That was the panda. The pregnant panda. The one I had specifically told Wong I would not take. The one Wong agreed to keep at the conservation center. The one that was supposed to be in a professional facility with veterinarians and temperature-controlled rooms and proper prenatal care. She was sitting in my kitchen, covered in my cliff honey, having broken in through what I can only assume was pure determination and pregnancy cravings. I said a no. I said it clearly. I made logical arguments. I mentioned the kitchen knife thing. Wong accepted my refusal. We had an agreement. Nobody told the panda about the agreement. She just escaped a government wildlife facility, navigated across 2 mountain ridges using her nose, found my house by smell, broke into my kitchen, and started eating my 1,000 yuan per pound honey like it was an all-you-can-eat buffet. I looked at her. She looked at me. Honey dripping from her chin. Not a single shred of guilt. Surprise? Yeah, surprise. I'm starting to think the universe has a very specific plan for me, and that plan does not include vegetables. How did you get here? She tilted her head like I'd asked a stupid question. Walked. Duh. Those people kept chasing me, so I went over 2 mountains. Anyway, your honey is way better than that garbage milk they had in the cage. I called Wong immediately. Chief Wong, Lin Feng. About earlier, maybe you could reconsider, not about that. Quick question. Go ahead. I said no. Right? Yes, you refused, and I accepted. Why? Then can you please explain why the pregnant giant panda is currently sitting in my kitchen eating my last jar of cliff honey? 5 seconds of silence. The kind of silence that sounds expensive. What? The panda. The one your team picked up last night. The pregnant one. She is currently on my kitchen floor. My final jar of 1,000 yuan per pound cliff honey is empty. She looks very happy about it. I heard his office chair roll. Then frantic mouse clicking. He was pulling up my surveillance feed. 3 seconds later, dear God, Camera 2 had captured everything in beautiful high definition. One round panda. One empty honey jar. One defeated farmer holding a phone. Lin Feng. I didn't send her back. I know. I told Dr. Zhou to keep her at the center and find alternatives. I also know. Then how? His desk phone rang. Caller ID. Dr. Zhou. He put me on hold and answered on speakerphone. Zhou's voice exploded through the line. Chief Wang. The panda escaped. When? This morning. She spent all night hammering the stainless steel cage latch until it broke. When the keeper opened the door to feed her, she slapped him into the wall and bolted. We've had 3 search teams combing the mountains for 2 hours. Nothing. She's pregnant. She can't be out in the wild too long. If we don't find her before dark, stop looking. Dead silence. Excuse me, stop looking, Dr. Zhou. She's been found. Where? Lin Feng's house. She's in his kitchen, eating cliff honey. Zhou went quiet for 10 seconds. I could feel her staring at her phone from miles away. She broke out of a government facility, crossed 2 mountain ridges, to eat honey at some farmer's house. That appears to be correct. That's impossible. Wild pandas have extreme territorial instincts. When removed from their environment, they go back to their original habitat. They don't voluntarily seek out a human residence they've visited for a few hours. Dr. Zhou. Yes? She's there. More silence. Wang picked my call back up. Lin Feng, situation is as you heard. She came on her own. Yeah, I gathered that. What do you want us to do about it? I looked at the panda. She'd finished the honey, flipped the jar upside down, and was licking the bottom. Not a molecule of cliff honey left in my entire house. Send Dr. Zhou over. We'll figure it out. Meanwhile, the search teams were still scattered across 3 mountain ridges. 15 people. 2 hours. Covered in sweat, mud, grass seeds, and crushed morale. Zhou radioed them. All teams, target located. Stand down and return. Old Zhang, the senior field worker, 15 years of wildlife rescue experience, had tracked black bears, clouded leopards, pangolins, came stumbling out of the bushes looking like he'd fought the entire forest. You found it, he panted. Zhou showed him the screenshot. He stared at a panda sitting on a kitchen floor, face covered in honey, hugging an empty jar. Is that the farmer's house? The kid with the tiger cub? The one we picked the panda up from last night? Yes. It broke out of jail. Climbed 2 mountains. Just to go back to his house and steal honey. Yes. Zhang opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. This panda's brain doesn't work right. Zhou didn't respond. She grabbed her keys. Get the car ready. I'm going to the village. Want me to bring the tranquilizer gun? She thought about it. Probably won't need it. She started walking downhill, then paused. Turned around. Looked at her exhausted team, covered head to toe in dirt, scratched by branches. Spent 2 hours searching 3 mountains for an animal that was happily eating dessert at someone's house. 2 hours. 15 people. 3 mountains. And the panda had just gone straight to my kitchen like she had Google Maps. I hung up the phone and looked at my house guest. She'd moved on from licking the jar and was now sniffing around my kitchen shelves, clearly looking for more food. There's no more honey. She turned and stared at me. What do you mean there's no more? You ate it all. Yesterday and today. Every last drop. Her face fell. Genuinely crestfallen. Like I'd told her Christmas was canceled. I rubbed my temples. I'd said no. I'd made a logical, well-reasoned argument about why a pregnant panda should not be at my house. Wang agreed. The system worked. The process was followed. Nobody consulted the panda. And the panda voted with her feet. And her stomach. And apparently a stainless steel cage latch didn't get a vote at all. Day 4. Honey reserves, 0. Kitchen, invaded. Panda, back. Vegetables planted, still absolutely none. Dr. Zhou showed up at my place with her team around late afternoon. Her assistant Xiao Zhao still had a purple bruise across his face from where the panda slapped him this morning. Badge of honor. They walked into the yard and found me eating dinner at the stone table. Rice, 2 stir-fried dishes, nothing fancy. And across from me, my uninvited house guest, face deep in a basin of rice porridge I'd mixed with honey. That porridge was supposed to be my midnight snack, by the way. Her eating technique was something else. She just shoved her entire face into the basin like a furry bowling ball dunking itself in soup. When she came up for air, she had rice stuck to her nose, porridge dripping off her chin, and an expression of pure bliss. Yummy. Bamboo sticks porridge is so good. But weird. If his food is this tasty, how is he still so skinny? Can you just eat without the running commentary? I bonked her on the forehead. This animal had come here twice now, and both times she'd eaten through my entire food supply. She wasn't trying to fatten me up. She was going to starve me to death. Joe couldn't stop staring. She's a 17-year veteran wildlife vet. She knows exactly what a captured wild panda acts like. Refuses food, smashes cages, attacks handlers, stress hormones through the roof. This morning, this same panda broke a stainless steel lock, slapped a man into a wall, and flipped a milk bowl into someone's face. Now she was sitting in my yard, eating porridge, licking her paws, and burping contentedly. How is this the same animal? Xiao Zhao whispered, touching his bruised face in disbelief. Zhou wanted to do a checkup. Old Zhang, the senior handler, approached with the portable ultrasound. He got 3 steps close. The panda's head shot up from the porridge basin, rice all over her face, new, white eyeshadow, over her black eye circles, and she saw the equipment in his hands. She grabbed the porridge basin, spun around, and pointed her fat, but directly at Zhang. Then she buried her face deeper into the bowl and started slurping faster. Trying to steal my food? In your dreams. Zhang stood there with the ultrasound probe hovering in midair, completely defeated. Zhou turned to me. Could you try? I sighed and walked over. Squatted down next to her. Nobody's taking your porridge. One ear rotated toward me. Bamboo stick? They need to check on you. It'll be quick. After it's done, I'll add honey to your porridge. She stopped eating. Head emerged from the bowl, dripping. 2 beady eyes locked onto mine. How much honey? 1 spoon. 3 spoons. 2. Final offer. She considered this for exactly 2 seconds. Then she released the bowl, flipped onto her back, spread all 4 legs, and presented her belly like she was on a massage table. Go ahead. The yard went dead silent for 3 full seconds. Zhou's jaw dropped. Xiao Zhao forgot about his bruise. Zhang nearly dropped the ultrasound. I just negotiated medical compliance with a panda using honey as currency. 2 spoons versus 3 spoons. Like a business deal. And it worked. Hurry up, I waved them over. Her patience has a shelf life. Zhang scrambled over and pressed the ultrasound to her belly. Zhou clipped the blood oxygen sensor on her paw. The panda lay perfectly still, staring at me the entire time with an expression that clearly said, "You owe me 2 spoons, 5 minutes." Full checkup done. Zhou stared at the screen. The baby was perfect. Normal size, normal heartbeat, normal fluid levels. Blood oxygen, 98%. Heart rate, 72 beats per minute. This morning at the center, heart rate 106. Blood oxygen, 94%. Cortisol levels double the normal range. Full-blown stress crisis. A few hours at my house eating porridge and honey, and every single indicator had dropped back to textbook perfect. Zhou stood up slowly, looked at me for a long time. All her vitals are normal. Dramatically better than this morning at the center. Great, I said, standing up and dusting off my hands. Checkup's done. You can take her back. Linfong, she cut me off. Her voice was firm. Final. The voice of a doctor who has made a decision and will not be argued with. The panda has to stay with you. I blinked. I'm sorry, what? I said a no this morning. I gave reasons. Good reasons. Kitchen knife reasons. Wong agreed. The system worked. We had a deal. And now, after the panda unilaterally broke out of jail, crossed 2 mountains, ate all my honey, drank my midnight snack porridge, and negotiated a medical exam for 2 spoons of sweetener, the professional veterinarian is telling me she has to stay? This panda didn't just move back in. She lobbied for it. With her stomach. And she won. Day 4. Panda, permanent resident. Honey reserves, extinct. Midnight snack, consumed by a bear. Medical negotiation skills, apparently something I have now. Vegetables planted. Do I even need to say it anymore? Stay? At MY Place, I stared at Zhou like she'd just asked me to adopt a rhinoceros. She pulled out a printed report and pointed at one number with her fingernail. Cortisol levels, double the normal range. That was from 2 a.m. when the panda was going full demolition mode in her cage. Heart rate 106, blood oxygen 94%, stress hormones through the roof, Zhou said. That was at the center. She paused. Just now in your yard? Heart rate 72. Blood oxygen 98%. From her behavior alone, cortisol is back to normal. Then she dropped the real bomb. Quietly. She's in late pregnancy. 2 to 3 weeks from delivery. At this stage, sustained stress doesn't just mean bad moods. It means insufficient blood flow to the placenta. Best case, premature birth. Worst case, stillbirth. If I take her back, she'll riot again. She broke stainless steel today. Tomorrow she'll smash through the cage door itself. If something goes wrong, it's her life and the baby's. The yard went silent. I looked at the report. Looked at the panda, who was licking the porridge basin so clean it sparkled. Full tummy. Comfy. Bamboo stick is pretty nice actually, just way too skinny. Gotta make him eat more tomorrow. This brainless, honey-stealing, wall-demolishing, rice porridge-inhaling creature was worried about my diet while I was deciding her fate. I understood why she'd freaked out at the center. She's a wild mountain animal. Cold iron bars, chemical disinfectant smell, strangers everywhere. Of course she snapped. Especially while pregnant. But understanding didn't solve my problems. Dr. Zhou, I get the logic. But my concerns haven't changed. Prenatal care, birthing facilities, newborn support. I can't do any of that. She was ready for me. Had clearly prepared her counteroffer in the car. The conservation center will station someone here permanently. She nodded at Xiao Zhao. He's my graduate student. Veterinary degree. Assisted 3 captive panda births, start to finish. He stays with you for daily monitoring and delivery prep. Zhao straightened up like a soldier, purple face bruise and all. We'll build a temporary birthing room in your yard. Equipment, materials, labor, all from the center. You just provide the space. As for your losses and farm development, I already cleared it with Chief Wang on the drive here. The Forestry Bureau will approve additional special funding for wall reinforcement and infrastructure upgrades. I'll file the compensation report tonight. Money, equipment, free labor, a live-in vet student. The government was basically begging me at this point. Dr. Zhou, it's not about the money, and it wasn't. My 200 acres were barely in the planning stage. Fruit trees not planted. Fences not built. Only 1 beehive set up. Underground Wuling Shun not even touched yet. I'm one person with 24 hours in a day, and they wanted to add Panda Maternity Ward Manager to my job description. Zhou saw me wavering. She played her final card. Let the panda decide. If she'll go with us willingly, we take her. If not, she didn't get to finish. 2 fat paws wrapped around my leg. A round, heavy body leaned against my knee. A big furry head buried itself next to my thigh. Bamboo stick. Don't send me back. That place is so cold. Iron bars everywhere. It smells terrible. Tiger Sis said you're a good person. I trust Tiger Sis. Her thoughts flooded my mind. Fear, sadness, and yes, just a tiny bit of shameless manipulation. She was pouting. 100-kilogram pregnant bear was giving me puppy eyes. She looked up at me, water glistening in those little black bean eyes. Porridge still stuck to her chin fur. My hand landed on her round head. Thick, soft fur. I sighed from the absolute deepest part of my soul. Fine. She stays. Zhou's shoulders dropped about 3 inches with relief. She gave Zhao a look. He grabbed his gear and planted himself next to me like he'd just received military orders. Zhao, you live here starting tonight. Call me for anything. Yes, ma'am. Zhou headed for the door. At the gate, she turned back one last time. I was squatting on the ground, putting a bowl of porridge with the promised 2 spoons of honey in front of the panda. She grabbed the basin and dove and face first. Hee, Bamboo Stick keeps his promises. Tomorrow I need to make him eat more. He's so skinny, it's honestly concerning. She was worried about me. The animal that just ate my entire food supply was concerned that I wasn't eating enough. After Zhou left, I set up a room for Zhao. Moved junk out. Straw on the floor, clean bedding on top. Sorry about the conditions. Are you kidding? I once spent an entire night in a tree on a rescue mission. This is luxury. Field people are built different. Zhao stood at the window looking at the yard. Panda starfished on her back in the straw, belly rising and falling. Tiger cub curled up on his heated pad, tail over his nose. Moonlight over everything. Lin bro, can I ask something? Go ahead. Why does this panda insist on staying with you? In 3 years at the center, I've never seen a wild animal break out of captivity and go to a human instead of away from one. I leaned against the door frame, about to answer, when I heard rustling from the wall crack. Two small shapes squeezed through the gap. Mama hedgehog in front, baby behind. They were back from their mountain expedition, and each one had something in her mouth. Small, golden, irregular granules. Slightly bigger than a fingernail. Coated in dirt and fine sand. I stared. Oh no. What did they find now? Oh good. You two are back. The hedgehogs waddled through the wall crack and came straight to me, looking extremely pleased with themselves. Each one spat something small onto the ground at my feet, then sat up and stared at me with their beady little eyes, practically vibrating with pride. Look, good stuff. We searched so long. Zhao was standing behind me, bewildered. Lin bro, are those hedgehogs? Neighbors, I said casually. Rescued them, built them a house. Now they live here rent-free. So in this yard you currently have a tiger cub, a pregnant panda, two hedgehogs, and a deer. I pointed at the corner where the muntjac was quietly chewing its cud in the shadows. Zhao opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. Oh, and you know how the tiger cub got here? I asked. Professor Chen said the mother tiger brought it. Half right. These two hedgehogs actually kidnapped it from a cave and shoved it through a mouse hole into my bed. Zhao's brain visibly buffered. The hedgehogs brought the tiger? Yep. I built them a nice house. They got excited, ran into the mountains to find me a thank you gift. The gift was a Class 1 protected animal. If I'd known their idea of gratitude involved federal crimes, I wouldn't have given them a single pine needle. And now the tiger brought the panda, and my farm is a zoo that doesn't charge admission. Zhao opened his mouth to respond with something scientific, looked around at my menagerie, and just sighed. Science had no jurisdiction in this yard. Meanwhile, the hedgehogs were frantic. They'd been tugging at my pant leg, squeaking, doing little circles. I'd been chatting with Zhao and completely ignoring their big presentation. Look at it. It's shiny. It's pretty. Fine, fine. I see it. I picked up the two little nuggets, planning to say something nice, pat their heads, and then recruit them for tomorrow's Wuling Shun digging operation. Thanks for the pretty rocks, guys. I stopped. The weight was wrong. These two pieces were barely thumbnail size combined, but they felt way heavier than any pebble that size should. Like someone had put lead inside a candy wrapper. My smile disappeared. I held them up close and rubbed off the dirt with my thumb. Under the mud wasn't rough stone. It was metal. Dark golden, dense, unmistakable metal sheen. Zhao noticed my expression change and came over fast. Vet instincts. When the patient's face shifts, something's wrong. Lin bro, what is it? I opened my palm. He looked. His eyebrows crunched together. I handed the pieces over. The moment they hit his palm, his wrist twitched from the unexpected weight. Why is this so heavy? He whipped out his phone flashlight and blasted the surface with light. No crystalline structure. Tiny water-worn pits and wrinkles across the surface. Dirt in the crevices, but the raised parts, pure, soft, dark gold luster. He scratched the surface with his fingernail. It left a mark. His hand started shaking. Lin bro, this isn't a rock. Then what is it? It's gold. My brain went static for a second. Gold. Natural gold. Also called a doghead nugget, Zhao said, holding it under the light with trembling fingers. I took a geology elective in college. I'm absolutely certain. He swallowed hard. These two pieces together are maybe 10 grams. At current gold prices, the raw material alone is worth several thousand yuan. But as natural nuggets, the collector value is way higher, could be worth several times more. I turned slowly and looked down at my hedgehog employees. They were sitting at my feet, chests puffed out, radiating smugness. Where did you find these? The mountain. The creek bed behind the back hill. The baby bounced up and down. Mommy's nose is the best. There's more in that creek. We would have brought more, but it got dark. There's more. I stood up and looked past the wall toward the mountains. The silhouette of the range pressed against the sky like a sleeping giant under the moonlight. 200 acres of wasteland, above ground, fruit trees and vegetables. On the cliffs, cliff honey worth 1,000 yuan per pound. Underground, Wuling Shun medicinal fungus worth 1,000 per pound. In the creek, gold. This wasn't wasteland. This was a treasure chest with 4 separate compartments, and I'd paid $20,000 for the whole thing because everyone thought it was garbage. What was my original plan? Grow some passion fruit, raise a few chickens, build some fake beehives, live a quiet, slow country life. Current situation. A pregnant national treasure is nesting in my yard. A tiger treats my house as a daycare. The ground beneath my feet is stuffed with rare medicine. The creek behind my property has gold nuggets. I have a government-assigned vet student sleeping in my spare room. And my hedgehog employees just became my prospecting team. Slow country life. That's the funniest joke I've ever told. Lin bro, Zhao asked carefully, what do we do about the gold? I chuckled. What do we do? According to the hedgehogs, the creek has more. Tomorrow morning, we go dig. Day 4 final inventory. 1 tiger cub, 1 pregnant panda, 2 hedgehogs, 1 deer, 1 queen bee, 1 vet student, 0 vegetables, 1 jar of Wu Ling Shun, 2 gold nuggets, and the growing suspicion that I didn't find this land. This land found me.